I see her name, but it doesn't look like she's fully connected.
Yeah, I don't see her number up there yet.
Yeah, I don't either. Oh, let's give her a few more minutes before we start.
There she is.
Hi, Ann, are you with us?
Just got on, sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank you. We can go ahead and get started. We were waiting for one more person to join. It's just me. It was just me and Artis at first. Okay, so we'll go ahead and, yeah, so well, I know Demetrius can't make it. Not sure what happened with Danielle, but we'll go ahead and get started because at least we do have 3 commissioners. So we'll do the call to order and the roll call. It's September 8th, time is 7:04, and we are having our town meeting. Ward 1 Commissioner.
Present.
Thank you. Ward 2 Commissioner.
Present.
Thank you. And Ward 3 Commissioner is present. Ward 4 Commissioner is absent. And our at-large commissioner has not joined at this time. So we'll just continue on. Next on our agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes and the financials for August 21st. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
I did glance at them earlier and I didn't see any problem.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Ann. Artis, did you have anything?
No.
Okay, I don't have anything as well. So we'll go next to our treasurer's report. Is Miss Hill Williams? I believe I saw her name.
Yes, I'm present.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Good. How's everyone?
Great, thank you for joining us. Would you like to present your report?
Sure.
Okay, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So the first item on the treasurer's report is treasury management. And I'm just going to quickly go through this. If you have any questions, please, stop me and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. So our previous accounting system was a desktop version of QuickBooks that was quickly going to be unsupported anymore by Intuit. So
Miss Hill?
Miss
Hill, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Miss Barbara, can you bring the report up, please? So that the public can see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. You're welcome. Go ahead.
Okay, so just quickly, basically, I just got the server, the desktop server repaired, and it wasn't too much with it. The organization that the town had been using to provide the server services for our accounting system, they were very helpful. And then I was able to get a file from them, a conversion file, update that software so that I can convert it to the most recent version of QuickBooks Online Advanced. And the reason why I selected Advanced, I want to thank the commission for approving that, is because that also has a grant management feature, and the previous version, Desktop Pro, did not. So moving into 1.2, regarding the financial statement audit, Lindsay and Associates is our independent auditor. and the audit must be completed by October 31st. We are way ahead of schedule. On August 23rd, I provided the trial balance and the general ledger submitted to them, and they turn around and pick random transactions to review. They picked 54 transactions, 52 of which, working with the staff and the office manager, we were able to pull together the supporting transaction documentation, and I submitted that on to the auditor. So far, they do not have any questions, but we're way ahead of schedule on that. 1.3, another audit, the workers' compensation audit with our workers' comp insurance company, Chesapeake Employers, and the due date for that was on August 25th. I was able to gain access to our paycheck system and generate and submit 33 payroll reports and get that submitted on time. So I haven't had any response so far. No news is good news. I'm expecting us to pass these 2 audits with flying colors. Any questions on section 1, Treasury Management? Okay.
I just had one question.
Sure.
This is Commissioner Young. These reports that you refer to, are they available to us at anywhere?
I can certainly provide them to the commission if you would like to see them. The payroll reports,
Payroll report and the
supporting documentation for the
general
audit.
trial balance and general ledger.
Sure. Do we have a share drive or anything where I could post these, or is that something that I would have the commission's permission to build?
Or
We
you could
do
just
have a
get it
share-
to Consuela and she could print it out. I mean, I don't have on my computer the ability to look at real complex things, but if you could get it to Consuela and she could print it out, that'd be enough for me anyway.
Yeah, that's a lot of printing. That would be like 85.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe
so-
if she just had it and available for us to look at it.
We do have a shared drive. I just have to get with Peak to see how we can get access to it for the commissioners. The staff all have access to it, but I don't know how to get access to it for the commissioner.
Okay.
Well,
that
I don't necessarily want an 85-page document, but just if we know where it is or how to look at it, then that would be probably sufficient.
Yeah, I'll work
I
with
didn't know what you were
Consuelo.
talking about.
Sure, I'll work with Consuelo on that, and so that we can have things posted to that shared drive. Because then you'll be able to, or any of the commissioners will be able to go in there anytime you want and look at the audit documents.
Okay, and while I'm on, I just noticed that Appendix A and Appendix B don't have any figures in them. Is that something that we will get at a later date, or?
They're attached. That's just the cover sheet.
Oh,
That's just the cover sheet.
okay, because I can't tell which things. Okay, well, you could just explain it as you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mhm. All right, on to section 2 grants. So question came up about the Chesapeake Bay Trust grant that was awarded, I believe sometime in 2020 or 2019. And what the available balances were in the income accounts for those, or the revenue accounts, if you will. So the commission actually approved $2,500 in each one of the community garden line items. One is a regular line item, the second is a special projects line item. But there was never really an expense account set up specifically for the Chesapeake Bay Trust. It was just, I think, accounted for just in a general community garden line item. So the question that I had here is, was that $2,500, and you all don't have to answer it now, but I just wanted to present it so it can be on your mind. Was the $2,500 allocated in the budget above and beyond the $2,500 grant? And overall, I'll have to set up a expense account for the Chesapeake Bay Trust, but I did the analysis as of June 30th. Ms. Barber had asked me to put this together so you all can see the balances in each one of these revenue accounts. Any questions?
Hi, this is Wanda. I do have a question. Ms. Barber,
Yes, ma'am.
I thought you guys had already worked out a plan for this
Yeah, we
particular
did.
item.
In Ms. Hill Williams, if you'll recall, when we talked about this, we talked about doing a amendment to the budget after the audit was done so that we could reappropriate the 25, the remainder, it's not the full $2,500 in the special
Right.
projects line item.
Right.
We were just waiting for the audit to be finished so that we could then do the reappropriation for the garden. With that balance, the balance is not the full 2,500 because they did spend some of the special project money, but there is a substantial balance in there that was not reappropriated in the 2022 budget.
Right, so yes, that's correct, but there's still a question of the $2,500 sectors that were established in the budget. Is that the same $2,500 on the grant award, or was this anticipatory or in addition to the 2,500? Because if that's the case, then that budget line item should really be 5,000, not 2,500.
No.
Okay. Okay. And then just in general, I noticed that, although the town has more than enough money to cover its expenses, however, it leaves deficits in different budget line items. So that's why I have this recommendation in parentheses at the bottom to do, budget ordinances throughout the year, maybe once a quarter, or it could be done at the end of the fiscal year just to balance everything out. So at the end of the year, we don't show any deficits, because sometimes you don't use as much money as you thought you would, in certain line items. So those transfers really should be done just to clean up the accounting.
Could I ask another question?
Sure.
Under the grants at Chesapeake Bay Trust, it says award 2,500.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have community garden line items at 2,500. And it says 50/70 budget. I'm not sure exactly. I guess that's just the number in the budget.
Yeah, that's the
And then
accounting line item number. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then community garden special projects, 50/71, 2,500. So basically we have 7,500 total. Is that right? Or am I not?
No,
This was from last year. If I could just interject real quick, this was from last year. The budget was approved for the 2,500 in line items 50/70 and 50/71. The garden then applied for the grant in about the middle of the year. And so the funds were transferred to the town in the middle of the year during the middle of the budget year. So a revenue account was created, but an expense account was not created. And so that's what created the whole problem here, is that when we went to expend the grant fund and repay the garden back, because we do it on a reimbursement basis for them, or we pay the bills for them, it was charged to the wrong line item back in the fiscal year of 2021. And what Ms. Hill is saying is that we need to do a budget amendment to reappropriate those funds in the 2022 budget.
Which would total 5,000, half of which would be covered by the award and half of which we would be appropriating. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, see, that's what it appears.
There's no money appropriated in special projects for fiscal year 2022. There is no money appropriated in that line item.
Oh, okay. So we appropriated 2,500 for 2022, and plus we got the award of 2,500.
The 2,500 was from last year. It's from
Okay,
last
so we've only
fiscal year.
appropriated 2,500 for this coming year.
Yes, ma'am.
And the balance figures are where we stand right now with those.
Right, actually, you appropriated 5,000. It was 2,500 in the community garden line item, and then another 2,500 in the special projects line item. Unless you all are saying that should have never occurred, it should have been just a total of 2,500.
No, in 2021, it should have been a total of 5,000, which was
Okay.
what
Okay.
appropriated.
So then that goes back to my question at the bottom here. Is this award of 2,500, were you all anticipating using that to fund either one of these accounts? Or was that in addition to, it appears it was in addition to.
It was in addition to in fiscal
Okay, so-
2021.
Okay, so that answers Commissioner Young's first question. The total really is $7,500.
That was available to the gardeners in 2021.
Right. So, the commissioners, you all just have to tell me where you want this 7,500 to be applied to. This extra 2,500, is the extra 2,500 going to the special projects line item? Or do we need a separate line item? I'm thinking it's the special projects line item. So then that would bring that balance to. Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Go-
Do we have both of those line items in the 2022 budget?
I believe so.
The line items are there, just the special projects line item is not funded. But it,
Okay, gotcha. So we've only funded 2,500 for the community garden. And are you saying, Consuelo, that we've already spent the award, the $2,500 award?
yeah, they spent the grant money last year because they had to spend the grant money last year.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So basically, we only have 2,500 for this 2022 year,
Yes, ma'am.
budget year. Okay, gotcha.
Well, you have a carryover of $470 from the general garden line item. And then we have a negative balance of $457.71. That still needs to be cleared. So that's why I'm saying my recommendation is to take this 2,500 award from the grant. They've already spent the money and apply it to this special projects line. So we don't have this deficit. So they've
Oh,
only.
it's a deficit. It just says it's a balance.
Right, but that in parentheses, that means it's a negative balance.
Oh, okay.
Right, see, the budget line item only had $2,500 allocated to it, but the expenses were $2,957.71. You see that? So we went over that 2,500 by $457.71. So that needs to be right sized.
But we haven't spent anything for the 2022 year.
So this is
Right.
right, but still, this is as of June 30th of 2021. We still you don't leave negative balances on your books.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you think we
Because-
should do?
I think I should transfer this 2,500 award and make this budget line item 5071 5,000, because you all clarified that this $2,500 for each one of these line items, that was just a regular budget appropriation, not including this grant money. So really you had 5,000 in the 5071 line, but only 2,500 was there. So I'll have to add this 2,500 to line 5071. That way we'll see, we're actually going to have a credit balance that can be used in FY22. It'll clear this negative balance, right? And then we'll have a credit balance of, I can tell you right now.
Does that make sense to you, Consuela?
Yeah, so what she's gonna do is, there is already a revenue line item for the 2,500 Chesapeake Bay Trust that occurred. What she will be doing is she'll be expending the revenue
No,
from
no.
that.
what I'm gonna be doing is allocating that $2,500 award to that community garden special projects line, bringing the balance to 5,000. That will clear this negative balance of 457.71 and give the town a credit of 1584.58 that can be used in FY22.
And we have not already spent that. Is that right? Or,
No, you haven't. See what the expenses are. That's the total expenses for the whole FY21 fiscal year. It was only for 5070, $2,029.11, and for 5071, $29.57.71. But this line should have been $5,000, not just 2,500. It should have been adjusted throughout the year, but it wasn't. Once the award came in.
okay, I thought, Ms. Barber, you didn't say, did you say we had spent it on something else or not?
No, the gardeners spent their grant money on what they were supposed to spend their grant money on.
And what was that?
They spent it on the hoop house, the irrigation, and some other
Was that
things.
special project? Was that, so it fit under
It got
special
put
project?
into the special projects line item because there was not an expense account that was created to go with the correlating revenue account that was created.
Okay, so that makes sense to put the $5,000, to make that 5,000 instead of 2,500.
Yes. Okay, any other questions? Madam Chair, you have any other
Thank you.
questions? You okay? Commissioner Young, Commissioner Armache?
I'm fine. I kind of understand what happened because I'm part of the
Questions?
garden.
Thank you so much.
And Ms. Barber explained it to me, so I'm good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
on
just keep going, sorry.
Okay, all right, on to the American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA funds. So this is another grant based on the COVID-19 emergency, and the town of Cottage City was awarded approximately 1.1 million. And since I've done this report, I do have the exact amount. I placed a call with the ARPA office to get the exact amount, and it is a little bit over 1.1. Since I didn't have the award document, I want them to send me the actual award document. So I like to do things to the penny, so it's clear exactly what we have in the award, which that's very good. And then we received almost half on July 22nd of 574,995. The period of performance for this is March 3rd through December 31st. So we have to spend this money by December 31st of 2024. It has to be fully expensed, not encumbered or anything like that. And then I wanted to put together some things, reading the literature and meeting with the office to assist at the request of the chair with what type of projects, what type of planning and commencement, what's allowed, what's not allowed. So direct and indirect costs for any project that the commission sees fit to put forth are allowed. We don't have to do any cost sharing or matching. That's not required. So we don't have to try to find money to match this 1.1 plus million. Is ours to use under these guidelines. And there's some specific recommendations on project types that I wanted to present today. So specifically, there's revenue replacement, for any provision of government services that caused a reduction of revenue due to COVID, whether it was health related or any other revenues that could have been collected, but were not able to be collected due to COVID. And the only other revenues that are excluded is tax revenue. So we can't use it to make up for any form of tax revenue. But any expenditures or negative, impacts based on COVID, we can assist small businesses, individual households, or any other industries that are within the town of Cottage City who suffered some economic losses. We can use that money to assist them with the recovery. We can also use this money to pay essential workers. We can invest in water, sewer, broadband, any infrastructure project I believe the community center will fall into that because we can tie that back to services that weren't available to the citizens of the town during the COVID crisis. Or any other businesses to help them along with economic recovery, so on and so forth. We could, set up a vaccination center if you all wanted to, any type of education programs, food, rental assistance. So the scope of what projects the commission can set up is pretty broad. And there's no restriction there in that area. Like I said earlier, the only restriction is we can't use this to offset any tax revenue. And we can't, if the town had a pension fund or something like that, we can't deposit the funds in that. Can you scroll down a little bit, Ms. Barber? Okay, the first financial report is due October 31st, and on September 14th, the ARPA office is sponsoring a webinar on the reporting because they don't have a form. You just have to understand what information needs to be reported. So I took the time and read through all the program documents and the federal guidelines and stipulations that surround them. And so I created 2 reports that I know just based on information that they're going to need. You can scroll to those if you want. One is in Appendix A and the other is in Appendix B. And these are just templates of reports that I came up with. The first one being a spending plan report, which I have to report at a minimum right now. It may be monthly, but I think right now it's going to be quarterly. They're going to let us know on September 14th what our annual spending plan is going to be and how it's going to be broken out. These are minimum 4 categories for personnel costs. We can use that money to cover that, any administrative and operations costs, marketing, and direct costs for the program or project itself. So that would be like, property, plant, and equipment, things like that, that can be used for that. And we can, commission can choose with my assistance how you want to appropriate that or spread, if you will, that 1.1 million over these 4 areas. And then the funding sources, we can also use our general fund. We can use our investment fund if we want to, but it's not required. We can use other state grants, but it's not required. And so I have it broken down here in columns. The appropriated funds, those would be obviously the ARPA grant. And if we use any funds allocated in a budget amendment or budget ordinance, if you will, and if there's other state grants that the commission feels would like to allocate to the ARPA strategic fund project, and then it breaks it down in total. And the next form in Appendix B that I created, so for each project that the town wants to do, I have to provide a spending plan project by project and include the milestones. So when I saw that, I just kind of, brainstormed on an ARPA project spending plan, and it just keeps track of what the budget amount is, the award amount. If there is a project manager, I would recommend, depending on what the type of project is, like some things may fall under the police chief you might want to do, some may fall under specifically the commission, or public works regarding infrastructure. So we do have to allocate a project manager. Obviously, the grant would be the ARPA, dedicate a specific project name. What is our schedule? How long we're going to do this? Is this project going to be from now or whenever the commission decides through the end of the period of performance? And just manage all those major milestones. So milestones would be like the initiation of the project, and then we would sit down and work together on, along with the designated project manager, how you would like to proceed. So another milestone would be, purchase of, all of the equipment for the program or property or whatever, just whatever the commission comes up with. Thank you, Ms. Barber. So any questions on these 2 forms? And any questions on, I know you all wanted to discuss the ARPA project and grant funding. So before I go on to 3, any questions from anyone or discussion?
I have a question. Town Attorney Best.
Mhm.
I recall in preparing a resolution on ARPA for another town that there'll be a requirement to enter into a agreement. I understand there's 2 tranches paid out over the span of this program, this project through the federal government. But I believe you have electronic access and you'll be required to upload certain reports and information. Is there not some sort of an agreement, a funding agreement that will have to go before the commission for approval that you'll upload? And that's kind of an indicator that the commission has not rejected this funding program.
Well, I think Vice Chair Demetrius signed. I did get a copy of that, but it didn't have any funding document attached to it. It was just accepting the award. And that's what I hope to receive on the 14th, so that I can be able to, guide the commission in the town and appropriately on what would be the next steps, what need to be signed, what are the agreements we need to put in place. They're going to go over all that on the 14th. But I think you're right. We have to have some type of agreement in place just to say that we're going, we pledge to use the funds appropriately, but I need the award document to actually see what those parameters are. So I've requested that. They haven't sent that. And Ms. Barbara and I, we just have that one document that was signed by the Vice Chair of the Commission.
Sounds like the document signed by the Vice Chair of the Commission was some sort of receipt of funding and the first tranche, but there is specifically, I understand, an agreement that will need to be filed. And so that would be a document.
And I would think they would have sent that before they issued any funding. Because to sign the receipt before you get your full funding document, that's kind of the other way around to do it. But we're talking about the federal government, so
Yeah.
And you know what it could be? It could be in a county document where the county executive signed it. Who knows? But hopefully I'll get all the documentation on September 14th, because I've certainly been asking for it. Like, where is it? Because you're right. We have to see what our award is. It has to be in black and white.
Yeah, Cottage City is a non-entitlement entity under the CDBG, and it's going to have to sign off on this agreement. And I just want to make sure it's properly authorized. It's just someone in the town, a commissioner or the town manager, doesn't just sign it and send it off. It needs to be approved properly by the body as a whole. So that's the only point I'm making there. And I'm also wondering, it sounds like there's quite a bit of homework or machination that the commission needs involved in to determine how these funds will be spent. And it seems to me, there's 157 municipalities in the state, that MML may have some cookie cutter programmatic documentation or model programs to spend and provide services to residents regarding these funds. I wonder if anyone has checked with MML to see if they have any guidance, or Haggerty Consulting. Haggerty Consulting is the consulting firm hired by DHCD or the Maryland Department of Budget to help these non-entitlement entities like Cottage City through this program.
Well, this is fairly new money, and the MML office is who was at least able to give me the estimated amount, and they're looking for the information that I requested in terms of the award document, because each municipality that received this money, they have to have some type of grant award document or grant allocation, even if it's an overarching one, where it will show, and it should be online as well. The only thing they have online is Prince George's County and like some of the larger municipalities like Bowie, but they didn't have, the Port Town municipalities. They didn't have the Gateway municipalities that I'm sure have received monies as well. They didn't go down that far. But yeah, MML doesn't have any templates or anything, and the ARPA program doesn't have any templates. I'm sure someone is in the process of designing them, but in the meantime, that's why I said, okay, I better get ahead of this and at least read the criteria for reporting and come up with a template for the town. So I came up with those two, and I'm sure there's going to be some more requirements for reporting financially as time goes on. But yeah, you're right.
Well, it sounds like you've taken leaps and bounds getting this organized, and that's to your credit, Ms. Williams. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
I have a much smaller question. But first, yes, thank you. And also, Kevin, for suggesting, you may as well check with MML and see whether they develop anything that could help us. My question is, I don't know how much we've spent over the past couple of years on things related to the pandemic, like whether we've gotten all our food for free, and whether any other giveaways of food, and I think we had a laptop, and I know some of those funds were donated, but I would assume that the money we're getting would cover those things if we do have, if we have spent money on things in that sort of broad category. But I noticed that you mentioned that we couldn't spend it on anything that we'd use tax revenues for, or did I hear that right? Does that sort of negate that ability to spend it on things we've already?
Right. So Ms. Barbara, if you could roll the slide deck back to just that funding restrictions right there at the funding restrictions. So we can't use it to offset any tax revenue that we didn't receive in previous fiscal years, which would have been the most recent past fiscal year. And I would think that would cross into fiscal year 2019 as well. That's the only thing we can't use it for. So because of COVID, if people didn't pay their taxes on time and it caused the town to lose tax revenue, we can't take any portion of this money to make up lost tax revenue that the town didn't receive because someone didn't pay their property taxes.
So that's different than what I heard, right? I misunderstood, I think.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
See where it says or delay of tax, or like a tax increase that we weren't able to, materialize in the actual accounts of the town. We can't use this money to offset that revenue. And I can understand why, because that's under a different set of accounting standards. And so usually grant funds could never be used to offset tax reductions in revenue.
Thanks. I think I misunderstood before. Thank you.
Okay, no problem at all. Okay, any other questions on the ARPA? Did anyone on the commission, the chair or Commissioner Armache or Young may have some ideas? I recommend broadband, or if there's any serious infrastructure issues that the town needs to remediate, certainly this money can be used for that. This is Commissioner Uri. Oh, we can't hear you. Oh, I do see you, Commissioner Uri. We can't hear you though.
Oh, is this a little better?
A little bit.
Okay, yeah. I just want to say, thank you, and I'm happy to hear about the diverse ways that we can actually use the funds. There are a bunch of things on our bucket list that we kind of want to, start discussions about. I'm happy to hear that we could actually consider applying it to the center that we're, conceptualizing right now. The possibilities for this seems like there's a lot of potential for some of these programs. So thank you for kind of, outlining and spelling it out and kind of, letting us know, what all the stipulations are for that. So just for the general public, we're definitely going to, continue to find ways to apply, these funding, the funding amount and really apply it to some of those things that have been pending that some of the public has been, bringing up to us. So thank you again.
Sure, you're welcome. And I didn't want to leave Chief Ayers out, because if there's some community service projects that fall under the police department, the funds can be used for that as well. And certainly infrastructure is tied to public works. So water and sewer, anything like that, irrigation, whatever, the director of public works may have some projects. I think we should just put together a list of ideas that can be considered by the commission, and then we move forward. I mean, certainly 1.1 million is a good amount of money. And one of the things with this, there is going to be a subsequent award. I was able to find that out, but this was after I just found this out of day before yesterday. There's going to be subsequent awards. So with these type of high dollar grants, the name of the game is, if you use all of this money, you're going to get more the next time around. So, we need to really put our best foot forward and use all of this 1.1.
Noted,
So,
I think that, that's something that I've heard about in the county, that, sometimes at the end of budget cycles, there's a rush and a kind of building surge because, the state likes to kind of use its last bit of funding. And, I think definitely, we're considering bringing together Blainsburg Road and fixing some of the sidewalks. So I definitely think that there won't be any wasted funds. We'll put it to good use.
Good deal.
and I was just going to add, anything that we can do for our kids who have suffered from not being able to, be in school, anything we can do, whether we need to, update computers or get more computers out there. And I don't know what else, but I would think that would be something that we would want to focus on.
Sure, that would definitely fall within the confines of the funding. Absolutely. Okay, anyone else? Okay, all right, moving on to 3. So this is just in general, working with Mr. Best and the commission based on our meeting, our closed session meeting. I reviewed this emergency ordinance and in general, and I understand why this came about when I read through the whole thing. And it really was based on some decisions with the previous person surrounding the treasurer duties and the clerk and stuff like that. But I do see a need to just recommend or update to the charter and some follow-on ordinances, because a lot of things, guidelines and regulations have been changed since 2016 that are required of municipalities. So just to tighten that up, bring in the GAP, the COMAR. The COMAR is, the Maryland Annotated Code, as you know, the federal regs, and OMB is short for the Office of Management and Budget, who actually appropriates grant funds to the states, and then the states issues them to the county, and the county issues them to the municipalities. So, because I think as time goes on, matter of fact, I know as time goes on and follow-on audits, and because we have over what's called the simplified threshold for grants of $100,000, there are going to be new audit requirements and follow-on years where we have succinct policies and procedures for treasury management, segregation of duties, things of that nature. So that's just my recommendation there. And I'll be more than happy to, draft the first ordinance and present that to the commissioners for review prior to the next meeting. Any questions on that? No?
Well,
Okay.
I would state, if I may,
Mhm.
it's not just an ordinance that needs to be, in fact, more importantly, it needs to be a charter amendment resolution
Mhm.
to clear up the temporary adjustments to the charter that were made some 5 or some years ago to, I think the charter, which basically defines the structure of municipal government and the balance of powers and describes the officers that run the town. That's what the focus would be, not so much another ordinance. I think the CAR, a charter amendment resolution, would supersede the need for another ordinance. So that would be my focus.
Right, and I have that there, recommend amendment / update to charter to establish, so on and so forth. The reason why I mentioned ordinances, and we can discuss this, at a different time, but I just had a question, just in understanding how, getting my mind wrapped around how the town operates. Do you have separate policies and procedures, or are there ordinances that serve as policies and procedures as well? So that was the only reason why I mentioned ordinances subsequent to definitely the charter update and amendment.
We have the charter and then we have ordinances, but I think it'd probably be a good idea for you to work with Kevin on this.
Okay, sure, no problem. Okay, any other questions? All right. So on to section 4, which is the accounting section, and those are appendix C, D, and E. So this is our budget versus actuals. So this is a report of, the first month of the fiscal year. So, and it shows what our total revenue was for the month of July, almost 30 grand. So that's not bad at all. And this does not include our appropriation for, it was more than that because it doesn't include the 500,000 plus that we received for the ARPA funds. But without that award document, it wouldn't have been appropriate to add that here, because also at the same time, I would do an adjustment to the budget and bring this up. So our budget is going to go up significantly. It'll be in the 3+ millions once I get that document, and hopefully I'll have that on the 14th. And then this is just showing.
Are you saying, excuse me, are you saying you just add the money into the budget, but since there's limitations on how we can spend it, should it be
Okay.
sort of in a
Yeah, scroll down to the
separate
next
category?
Yeah, so scroll down to the next page, keep going, where we have the 6,000, keep going. Okay, right there. So see here, the 6,000 accounting line item are for grant expenditures. So I would have to create a grant expenditure account for the ARPA funds and a corresponding income account, which on that first page that we saw, to coincide with that. So that way our budget would be, we've already gotten the money, and Mr. Best, you can chime in if you want. Should there be an ordinance or amendment to the charter? I don't think a amendment to the charter, but an ordinance establishing new line items for this? Is there a restriction in the charter where the treasurer, upon receipt of funds, see, this is the thing, we've already got the money.
Yeah, but it's not been appropriated, so you'd need to do a mandatory budget ordinance.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I knew I just couldn't add it, so that's why I didn't show it here. All right.
I will say, just for your own edification, you probably already know this, that there are essentially two budget documents. There's the budget ordinance, which has major income and expenditure line items.
Right.
That is a simplified budget. And then there's the detailed line item budget. And when the ordinance is adopted for the annual budget, it doesn't adopt by reference the detailed line item budget. And that's intentionally done that way because there is a provision in the statutes of Maryland, the local government article, that requires that whenever you amend a budget ordinance, it requires, and you do it outside of the budget cycle, the time you set the tax rates and initially approve the budget. If you do it outside that time frame, requires a 2/3 supermajority vote under Maryland law for municipalities to do that. And so that's why you have the detailed line item budget that's separate and apart from the annual budget that gives more flexibility to transfer funds without going through the laborious and time-consuming and costly work of having a mandatory budget ordinance.
Right. And so couldn't a small resolution when it comes to the detail where line item dollars have to be transferred within the approved budget, so we're not going over that amount? At least that would be, I've done that in the past where there was just a resolution document, just a one-page document presented to the commission for them to approve. Is that the way that, I know that's allowed under, like you said, under the Maryland Annotated Code. So would that be appropriate? So to do those line item transfers without having to do a full-blown budget amendment?
Right. If you can transfer monies without tinkering with the full-blown budget ordinance, you can do that either by written formal resolution or by motion placed into the town journal. Either way, but I think people like Commissioner Demetrius Givens, they prefer and push as much as possible for resolutions to be done in writing as opposed to Robert's Rules motions to make amendment.
And that's actually a COMAR guideline too. When it comes to audit, they would like to see that the commission did approve line item transfers in writing. They were presented, voted on. That would be considered what's called a key supporting documentation during audit time. So, okay, that's how I'll do it. And see, for example, here, all right, so as going through the budget, it's probably difficult to determine exactly how much money you're going to use in specific line items. So we have some line items that where expenses hit where they were more than on the budget line, but it didn't go over the overall budget. So that's why we have the total expenses here. The total net income here of negative $14K, because our total expenses were $43,000, but we only brought in 30, you see? So, those are some of the things that we can definitely clean up before the end of the fiscal year with line item transfers.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Barber. You can keep going. And these are just percentages of the same money. At the end of the day, we've only spent, less than 4% of our budget. Or barely 4%. That's all that says. And I can consolidate this report because it's really just a repeat of the budget versus actuals. These are percentages versus the raw dollars in the previous report. All right, so this is our balance sheet, which shows all of the town's assets. Again, this is minus the 1.1 that we received. So during the next month, once the budget ordinance or the follow-on months, once those budget amendments are approved, then we'll see a significant increase in the town's current assets right now with all checking and savings accounts and investment accounts. And Commission, if you like, I can break this out by the specific account in the bank but I just rolled up the dollar amounts because I know this is public and I didn't know if that was a security issue of putting the detail of the specific bank where the monies are held or investment accounts. But overall, the town's total assets is right now standing at almost 2 million, at 1.8 million. And this is a balance sheet, so you do have to balance out your liabilities. Total liabilities were only 105,000 and are leaving us an equity of 1.7 million. So it balances out to the penny of $1,808,362.16. So that's where we stand in terms of assets, liabilities, and equity. So we're in pretty good shape, And this is in general our just flat profit and loss for the month of July, which shows specifically what we brought in, a total income of $29,261.49. And then you can scroll down, our total expenses were $43,359.33. So we didn't bring in enough to cover the expense amount, but once again, overall, we're nowhere near, we're far under, nowhere near. We have more than enough assets, so we're nowhere near in any type of deficit or anything. But I do have to just report the raw numbers so you see where we stand. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Hill Williams. So, and thank you for that detailed report. We do need to take a vote on the minutes and the financials. So again, if commissioners, do you have any questions on the financials, that last part? If there are no questions, I will entertain of approval or a motion to approve the August 3rd, August 11th minutes and the financial report. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
I-
Commissioner.
I second Commissioner Amashe.
Thank you. Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And just to let everyone know, Commissioner Yuri has joined us. Hi, Danielle. So hi. So we have 4 commissioners tonight. Let's see. So during the treasurer's report, we did go through a couple of things that's on the agenda, so I'm going to skip around. Ms. Barber, are you ready to do the land at the end of Cottage Terrace near the garden?
Yes, ma'am. So really, I will defer to Mr. Best at a very early point, but basically, Mr. Best had done some research, and I'll pull up the file that he sent me, showing that in the GIS of the county, there is a portion of land near the garden. And I apologize. Can you see that, or do I need to stop sharing and share it again?
No, the only thing I see right now is the agenda.
Okay, let me stop sharing and share. Okay. So you should see now this red line portion of land that is near the garden, which is plots 25 and there, that he found that actually does belong to the town. So Mr. Best, if you wanted to go through your process of discovery, I would be gracious.
All right. How did I discover this? Well, just in passing, I was asked to get involved in writing the delineation for signage for the loading zone next to the garden. And that's going to run, if you look at that red polygon, you'll see in kind of the far western corner of the diamond, a little L-shaped thing. Well, that is a storm drain. And so the far left of that L-shaped feature, down the road going south, then there's a light pole towards the first residential property that you approach as you're heading southwest. And so that's the loading zone. And I looked at that and I said, well, goodness gracious, you know, roadways, this is a municipal right of way. So the town owns in fee simple the entire roadway. And look, there's an unused area at the end of the right of way that is delineated by that polygon. And each of those sides of the polygon, very roughly, is 60 feet. You know, one side, the short is 50 feet, the other is more like 62 or something like that. But it roughly, each is about 50, 60 feet. So that's like, I think I did the calculation, that's about 3,000 square feet. As you can see, that's, you know, almost a third. Yeah, you can see the community garden is made of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots. 6 lots makes up the community garden. So you have this 3,000 square foot piece at the end of the roadway that is platted. It's owned in fee simple title by the town. You all can use it. I do have another town that had this same type of circumstances. They had like a 60-foot right of way, and the paved or improved portion of the right of way was only 30 feet. And they had an area where 2 of these municipal streets came together. So they built a community playground next to the roadway. And they used basically the platted street for that community playground. Didn't have to record any deeds, do anything different. You know, your right is very clear. Your ownership right is very clear in the platted, the plats that are recorded in the land records. And I believe the property to the north or northeast of lot 29 and the end, the red line that's most furthest north of the polygon, is that land, I believe, is owned by Park and Planning. So you certainly don't want to encroach to the north, northeast, or to the southeast, or next to that private residence there on the south side of the street. But there you have it. You know, there's a large chunk of land that you could annex or extend a fence over there. You could do some clearing, and you could add, you know, a good 25% or more to the community garden, or use it for some other municipal use as you see fit. And nothing more needs to be done, land title wise or legally, except develop it as you see fit. Consuela, Madam Chair.
I don't have anything else to add. I mean, I think that it would be wise if the commission wanted to use it, that maybe they do some community engagement to see what they might like to see happen at that location, and definitely talking with the neighbors about what they might like to see. But I yield back to the chair.
May I ask
Thank
a
you.
question?
Hold on 1 second, Danielle. Thank you, Mr. Best and Ms. Barber. So Commissioner Uri, you can ask your question, and then I'm gonna open it up for public comments because there is a comment in the chat. Go ahead, Commissioner Uri.
Sure, Mr. Best, in your investigation of that area, did it come up to be like any type of wetland or flood zone?
That's a great question, and the answer is no. I didn't pursue it any further. I found and looked at this using PG Atlas. PG Atlas has numerous overlays, so I could put the floodplain, I could put sensitive areas, I could put tributaries, things like that, overlays to see and ascertain that. I'm happy to do that. Or perhaps even Consuela knows how to do that, or someone else on the town staff knows how to do that. You know, what it may, yeah, For all I know, there could be a sinkhole in there. There could be a buried waste pit in there. I don't know.
Yeah, that area seems to slope down a bit, and you know, there's definitely an incline there. And since it hasn't been used, I'm just wondering, and it's kind of an open grassy area, I'm wondering if it's even usable. And then there's that sewage drainage there, so I'm wondering if our water runoff is just kind of going in that area maybe. So it's just something to look into. And Mr. Best, do we have access to that PG Atlas also, or is it just for you know, personnel use or?
There's a public version and there's a registration version. So you're free to go just Google PG Atlas and play with it and put overlays on and look at things. And it may take you a while to figure out how to use PG Atlas, but it's not really that complicated.
Are you using the public version?
Yes, I use the public version typically.
Miss Barbara, can you send that to us?
Yeah, I can put the overlays on there and send it to you all.
And can you also just send us the link to it as well?
Oh, yeah, sure, no problem.
Well, you can Google that. Just Google pgatlas.com
Okay,
and you'll
thank you.
be right there. Yep.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for Mr. Best from the commissioners? If not, we'll go to the public.
This is Commissioner Amarche. I just have a comment.
Mhm.
I want to chime in what Danielle said. The area that Mr. Best, I presume you haven't been over there on foot, but it is definitely like a good portion of that land right there is sloping down into the wetlands, and it does not seem to me like an area that we would necessarily really want to develop, except in the interest of creating, because if I understand correctly from our previous meeting, this is abutting the area that actually where they're going to be restoring that whole wetland area just below, that's like abutting this little parcel of property. So if that is going down, which is what I understand, then to me what would make sense, if anything, is just to perhaps, you know, help to create a transition there, so that if they, I don't know what the plan is at the wetlands, if they're going to be something that people can actually visit, if they're going to be boardwalks, but I think just more in the sense of that, some type of landscaping maybe to clean it up a bit, but I don't see it being something that we would want to like really disturb a whole lot. More just clean up and utilize as a transition into that other natural area. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Can I just mention something going off of what you're saying, Commissioner Amarche? Miss Barbara, is there some way that we can have someone come out and kind of look at the land and give us a little more detail, you know, about the nature of the land and what it could and couldn't be used for?
That would probably involve getting a landscape architecture to come out, a landscape architect to come out to do that, and there would be a fee associated with that. I don't know if there's anybody that would do it free.
Well, this chief, we have CPJ and they can look into it and research for us.
But I don't think they'll do it for free, will they?
Well, we have a retainer with them.
Right.
So this land is 100% a critical wetlands. It's been designated that way by the Chesapeake Bay Foundation and several other organizations.
Hi, Amy. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
This is Commissioner Wheatley. Can you hold on 1 second before we go to
Yes.
public comments? I want to check in with Commissioner Young. Commissioner Young, did you have a comment or question for Mr. Best?
No, I think I agree with what Commissioners Fury and Amarche have said, you know, and you know, if there's maybe a county person or a state person who could come look at it, or the Parks and Planning people, and let us know if there's any way we can, you know, clean it up a little bit, and let us know what's permissible. But
Okay.
I don't really have anything besides that to add.
Okay,
Mr.
I don't
Wheeler,
have
can I
any-
say one- can I
hold,
say one-
hold on, please.
sorry
Hold
about
on.
that.
And I don't have anything to add at this time. I'm in agreement. Go ahead, Danielle, and then we'll hear from Amy.
Okay, sure. I would also be curious to know what the boundaries are for that project that Ms. Amy is mentioning, and how close that is to the bounds of the area we're referring to. So maybe that's something that we can explore also, Ms. Barber. You know, what the boundaries are for that project and how close it's coming to that particular territory. Because, you know, like we were under the impression that that was the counties and that they were going to be doing their project there. So we don't know if that's something that's overlapping with our property, or I just am very curious to know, or would like to know, you know, where they're wanting to set up shop versus what, you know, how close that is to our boundary, our city boundaries.
Miss Barbara, can you get that information?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're gonna go to our public comments. I believe Ms. Snyder wanted to start off with her comment. Just to let you know, for public comments, it's a 3-minute time limit. So you have 3 minutes to make your comment. Go ahead, Amy.
Apologies, it's not Snyder, it's Sawyer. But that's
I'm
all
sorry,
good.
I apologize.
And so in my 3 minutes, I actually, I was going to, as I talked to Commissioner Emerche, I've got a bunch of information that I'd like to drop off. I really don't know who the right person is to talk to. But for sure, some of the information I have is about the critical area program. We are in a wetlands that is protected. So all development is going to be controlled. Again, I appreciate the commissioner and all of the council and everyone. As I said, I'm going to drop some stuff off tomorrow, and please just let me know who I should talk to next. So thank you all. I appreciate this.
Thank you, Ms. Sawyer. I apologize for getting your last name wrong. Are there any other public comments at this time? I don't see anything in the chat, and I don't see any hands raised. Ms. Sawyer, can you lower your hand, please? Unless you have something else to say.
No, I will. I apologize. I'm not.
I did it.
It's okay.
Done. It's done.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Much.
Okay, so,
I think Denise may have had her hand raised.
Denise, did you want to speak?
I'm on the call to talk about the, or I don't know what's on the agenda, but I was told to come to talk about the Living Canopies cool green bus stops. That's why
Yeah,
I'm
that's
on the
under,
call.
that's under new business. We haven't gotten to that part yet. It's about, it's the next, after we get through with old business, we'll go to the new business, which we'll talk to you about that. So there's a couple of ordinance and resolutions that we need to go ahead and vote on. If there are no further questions from the public. Let me see. Ms. Barber had to step away.
I'm back.
You're back now? Okay.
Yeah,
So do you want?
it should be on the screen.
Okay. So this is the ordinance for establishing the speed camera program?
Yes, ma'am. This is the second reader.
Oh, God.
I'll
So
bring
I
it
need,
up for you.
yeah, because I don't have it.
Yeah, I'll bring it up. It just takes me a minute to switch back and forth between the screen.
Mhm.
Were
Okay.
there any changes from the last version?
The only thing that was added is at the very end, Mr. Best had us put in the actual locations of the residential districts and the traffic control signal monitoring systems here in items B and C. So the chief and I did populate those, but other than that, nothing else changed.
Okay, okay, and 3700 38th Avenue to 3800 38th Avenue would allow us to put a speed camera on 38 up at where Cottage Terrace crosses it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the second reader. So I need to read. Can you bring it down a little so I can see? No, the other direction. There you go. I can't see the number. Okay, there you go. Okay, I can see it now. Okay, this is ordinance number 2021-03. Oh, the screen is jumping around.
Before you, excuse me, before you read that, can I just, I'm just looking at the end there. And actually, it says B, the initial roadways designated included 3700 38th Avenue to 3800 38th Avenue. But then C says the intersections currently designated include 38th Avenue and Bladensburg Road and 41st Avenue and Bladensburg Road. So it actually, it seems like it's taken out any other part of 38th Avenue, which I think is a problem because we do have, you know, over the years we've talked about problems both at the Cottage Terrace intersection and the Parkwood intersection. So just before you read it, I just want to make clear that it seems like that's what has been done now that I'm looking at it.
Miss
You go to the
Barbara?
very next to the last page.
Miss-
So the locations under C, if I understood what I was supposed to populate, what the chief and I were supposed to populate in there is the current locations of the red light cameras. And then the item B is the location of where the speed cameras would be. And I'm just having to scroll through it, I apologize. So this B is where the residential district is defined as for the speed cameras, and the intersections are currently designated for the red light cameras. And Mr. Best can
Right, but
correct
the
me if
problem
that's-
is that the intersection at at 38th Avenue
Oh,
and
I
Cottage
see.
Terrace and at 38th Avenue and Parkwood are excluded by Section C. And my understanding is that we were going to include the whole of 38th Avenue because people speed coming across that bridge. They're speeding. And so there was a real problem at Cottage Terrace, which we've been talking about for years. And then also, I think Commissioner Emache raised Parkwood as well. So I think we need to change C so that it does not exclude those, so that they're included.
Let me just make sure I understand. C is only for red light locations. B is for speed cameras. So does that help any? B deals with speed cameras. C deals with red light cameras.
The way it's written, it says the initial roadway is designated as a residential district is as follows. And then it says the intersections currently designated, which suggests that the initial roadways are not designated for speed cameras. That doesn't come across.
It says clearly, it says C, the intersections currently designated for deployment of traffic control signal monitoring devices. That's red light cameras. Whereas the initial roadways designated as residential district in section 9-13 deals with speed cameras.
Right,
So-
and what I'm saying is that C does not include a speed camera for 38th Avenue at any place other than Bladensburg Road, right?
Well, it's Bladensburg Road and 38th and Bladensburg Road and 41st Avenue is where the red
Right,
light
it
cameras
does not, but it does not include 38th Avenue and Cottage Terrace, for example.
But there are no red light cameras there, Ann. C is just for where we currently have our red light cameras.
There's no stoplight
Okay.
there, Ann.
I know that, but what I'm talking about is where we're going to have the speed cameras.
But there can only be one speed camera on a road.
Okay, when we've talked about this in the past, we've talked about having, we've talked about having speed cameras on 38. Excuse me for a second. I can't hear. We've talked about having speed cameras on 38 at Cottage Terrace.
That's right, and that's what 3700 38th Avenue to 3800 38th Avenue covers, is that block right there.
I don't read that as saying that we're going to have a speed camera there.
Excuse me, can I ask a question? Ms. Barber, do you have a map or a
I don't
diagram?
have, no, I don't, I apologize, I can't pull up a map that has that much detail in it.
Kevin, are you saying that subsection B there provides that there can be a speed camera at 3700 38th Avenue?
Can you go back to that so I can see it? Whoever, Consuela?
Just a minute.
Subsection B there. You're defining it as a residential district, but I don't read it as saying that you can have a speed camera at 3700 38th Avenue or any other part of 38th Avenue than as defined in C, Bladensburg Road.
Well, residential districts only apply, school zones and residential districts only apply to speed cameras. C
But what
specifically
I'm
says,
asking, but listen to what I'm asking. I'm saying, where in this does this authorize a speed camera anywhere on 38th Avenue other than at Bladensburg Road? I don't see it. And what we had talked about was authorizing a speed camera, not a red light, a speed camera at 38th Avenue, somewhere between Cottage Terrace and Parkwood.
well, I don't know your town as well as you do, but according to Consuela, she says this 3700 block of 38th Avenue to the 3800 block of 38th Avenue is the area in question you're concerned about. Is that not
Right, but
true?
where does that authorize the speed camera to be there?
Where it says the initial road designates residential district. Well, what's a residential district? A residential district, it concerns speed cameras as defined earlier in the ordinance So, you know, it's a matter of common sense and statutory construction. There's residential districts don't have anything to do with signal monitoring. They only have to do with speed cameras. So if it says the initial roadway is designated as a residential district and it defines those, it's talking about speed cameras. Whereas C.
Okay, that's
talks
where I'm
about-
trying to find the section I'm trying to find the section in the ordinance.
It's up in the definitions. It's a term of art. Residential district is a term of art in the
I understand
definitions.
that, but
for-
I understand that, but where in, just tell me where it
Go to the top.
authorizes
She's
a
trying to
speed
go there.
camera.
Go to the very top of this ordinance where it has definitions. There's, yeah, right there, residential district.
Okay, where does it authorize a speed camera there?
It's in section 9-13 speed monitoring systems. So the residential district is a function of speed monitoring systems, not red light cameras. If you want the words speed camera put in that subsection B, that's fine. Do I think it's completely necessary? No, but
I'm just trying to find the section where it's authorized. That's all I want to know.
all right, so residential districts is defined, and the residential district is delineated in the section that we're at below. So that's authorized. And you read this ordinance in its totality.
Where is it authorized?
Goodness gracious. Listen, I think what I'll do, if you give me a little time, I'll parse this out for you. But to do it right here and take up everyone's time, I don't think. Plus, I haven't read this ordinance for weeks and weeks. I haven't looked at this ordinance, so I'll be glad to do that.
Well, then
too.
nobody really knows what's in it at this point.
I know generally what's in it. It's just I haven't refreshed my memory by reading it in the last several weeks. So believe me, you're barking up a tree that you don't really need to. This ordinance is modeled after many others like it. It's legally
Okay,
sufficient.
but given my professional life, I like to see where it says something. So that's all. You know, it may well be in there, but I just wanted to see that. And since we're all voting on it for the second reading, at least, I think it would be helpful to.
Well, I'll tell you what, just to make life simple for everyone, I propose that you put an amendment in there, that you propose an amendment, put the words speed camera in that subsection down below, and that will make it clear. Otherwise, give me some time to look at it and email you an explanation. I mean, it's in the speed camera system subsection. I can't manipulate this document to look at it right away for you. But if you have some heartburn, we'll try to ameliorate your fears and explain it. And we'll do that hopefully by tomorrow. So you might want to table this ordinance for the next meeting.
Commissioner Young, would you prefer that we table this for next month?
Can I say
Well,
something real quick? I mean,
What are the practical aspects of it, Chief?
yeah, right
Go
now.
ahead, Chief.
We're trying to get it moving. This is a standard document that all municipalities use. You know, it is in there. It's the point where, you know, it's coverage 38th Avenue. That's where we put that 100 block. So it covers it. We need a vote today if possible, the second reading. And if she wants to,
Okay, I'm reading,
if she wants to
I'm
do
reading
amendment,
through it.
if she wants to do
I'm
amendment,
reading through it.
hold a minute. If you want to do amendment to add more teeth to it later on, we can do that. But it's the point where we want to get things rolling for our studies and stuff before the
Right,
weather.
right.
So
I think I can save, I think I
I
can save some time. I think I can save some time, Chief. I'm reading on page 5, at the top of page 5. Number 2, the town may install or erect traffic control devices in the designated school zone or residential district in addition to the signs required by subsection B1 and 3, including time flashing warning lights and including a speed monitoring system as defined in subsection A of this section, and a speed monitoring device. I would assume would include, it says a device with one or more motor vehicle sensors producing recorded images of motor vehicles traveling at speeds of at least 12 miles per hour above the posted speed limit, which I would assume would mean a speed camera. That's all I wanted to get. So I'm okay with going ahead at this point, assuming Kevin agrees with me that those are the relevant sections.
Mr. Best, do you agree?
Yes, if you read this ordinance in totality, I think it indicates that this residential district is for speed cameras. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm gonna go ahead. Are there any other questions? If not, I'm gonna go ahead and do the second reader. Are there any other questions or any other discussion?
No, but thank you for letting me clarify that. I think it is really important that whenever we pass an ordinance, we know what it says and we don't just go with the general overview. So thank you for letting me clarify that.
No problem. Hearing no other questions or comments, I'll go ahead and do the second reader. So this is, I have it in front of me. Cottage City Commission, Town of Cottage City, ordinance number 2021-03, introduced by the Cottage City Commission. An ordinance of the Town of Cottage City for the purpose of establishing and authorizing the use of speed monitoring systems in the Town of Cottage City by adopting provisions governing speed monitoring systems. In order to authorize the implementation of such systems in designated school zones or residential districts, to detect speed limit violations using vehicle sensors that produce recorded images of passing vehicles, and to specify the conditions under which a speed monitoring system shall be used, by establishing the penalty for a speed limit violation recorded by said system and the means for processing citations for speed limit violations recorded by a speed monitoring system, by defining school zones and residential districts, by requiring the calibration and self-testing of systems and the use and placement of systems in school zones or residential districts, and by further requiring the Cottage City Commission to designate an employee or official to review speed monitoring system citations and address questions or concerns from the public, and designate a program administrator to oversee the contract with a speed monitoring system contractor, and by prohibiting certain future payments on a per ticket basis to specify contractors, and requiring a contract to provide for the payment of liquidated damages by the contractor if more than 5% of violations issued are erroneous as defined by law, by authorizing the town to use and enforce citations issued by a speed monitoring system or a red light enforcement system, and the penalties related thereto, mandating a certain period of time during which violations may be enforced using a speed enforcement system and red light enforcement system, by requiring the town to comply with certain state law for use of these systems by defining certain terms, by requiring certain reports to be filed, and generally relating to the regulation and control of vehicles and traffic, and the use of technology to regulate traffic and improve public safety in the town. This is the second read of ordinance 2021-03. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Commissioner Armature.
Thank you, Commissioner Armitage. Is there a second?
I'll second it based on my finding notes section.
Thank you, Commissioner. Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Motion passes. Or ordinance passes, I should say. Okay. So next is resolution 2021-04, establishing a loading zone on Cottage Terrace.
Okay, so just give me a minute to pull the resolution up.
No problem.
Okay, so, oh, wait a minute. Wrong resolution. I apologize. Okay. Just one more minute. So this resolution is a resolution that defines the loading zone at the garden. You all will recall that this was on the agenda last month, but that there was some concern about the section of the resolution that described the location of the loading zone. And so that's when I asked Kevin to help me in writing the location of the loading zone. And so here is the section that now describes where the sign will be located. It's very descriptive. And that was the only change that was made to the resolution from last month when it was initially put forward to you all.
Could I just clarify?
Yes, ma'am.
What we're talking about is the curb that is the straight curb that is directly in front of the garden, not the curved part.
Not the curb part. That's already designated as no parking.
Okay, so it's just that the curb right in front of the garden.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or discussions in regards to this resolution? Hearing no questions or comments or no further discussion, I'll go ahead and read this into the record. So Town of Cottage City Resolution 2021-04, a resolution of the Cottage City Commission approving the designation of Cottage Terrace at the dead end in front of 4222 Cottage Terrace, otherwise known as the Cottage City Community Garden, as a loading zone with restricted parking, providing for the erection and placement of all appropriate traffic control signs and devices, providing that the Town of Cottage City Police Department and its designees shall enforce the provisions of this resolution, and providing an effective date. Introduced by the Town of Cottage City Commission. Is there a motion to approve? Resolution 2021-04.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Is there a second? Is that you, Commissioner Yuri?
Yes.
You second, Danielle? We
Second,
can't hear you.
Commissioner Yuri.
Okay, because I can't hear you. All right, we have, it's been properly motioned and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay, what's next? Resolution 2021-05. Ms. Barbara, you want, or Chief, is that, Chief, are you taking that one? Who's doing resolution 2021-05?
I can do it. Just let me pull it up real quick.
Okay.
So this is the complement to the ordinance that you all just passed regarding the speed camera system. What it does is the provision of the ordinance that states that there must be a person that is in charge of the monitoring and the evaluation of citations. The ombudsman has to be, I think, specifically named, and the program administrator is also specifically named. And so they are named here in the resolution. I'm just trying to find where that is. Here, Sergeant Hayes is named as the ombudsman of the speed camera, and Keith Ayers is named as the program administrator of the program, and Officer Private First Class Aaron Perez is named as the speed monitoring system operator. So that fulfills the requirements of the ordinance. And I will open it up to any questions that you have.
I don't have any questions.
Sorry, I just got back in. I think my Wi-Fi cut out. I'm not sure what happened, but if you could make me co-host again, please.
Sure.
My only question would be, if at any point we need a report from any of these individuals and they're not available, can someone else in the police department provide that report?
A report, I'm sorry, I was trying to do another thing at the same time. Could you repeat that?
well, it references a speed camera ombudsman reporting the number of citations reviewed each month. And if Sergeant Hayes is not available, I assume that could be reported through the chief or someone else.
What it does is designate individuals to actually, those positions to actually work the system. In reference to reports, I can generate reports at any time. But in reference to reviewing the citations, that's gonna be Aaron Perez, and to actually monitor any complaints, this could be Sergeant Hayes.
And if she's not available, would we have to pass a new resolution to authorize somebody else to do that?
No,
I'm just thinking of a situation where if she was out sick, for example, for a couple of weeks, how would that be handled?
well, a couple of weeks, I can go ahead and designate someone for temporarily for her position to actually handle it. But right now, for these purposes, we have to have someone designated as an individual.
Okay, that was my only concern.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Yuri, did you have any questions?
No discussion for me, thank you.
Thanks. There's no further questions.
I have a question. Madam
Go ahead,
Chair.
Mr. Beth. Go ahead, Mr. Beth.
I want to direct a question to the chief. These speed cameras that are proposed to be run within the corporate limits of the town would be on state highways, if I'm not incorrect. They would not be placed, nor has there been any designation for a residential district on municipal roadways, municipal streets. So that means the state will have to grant a license. Have there been any outreach to the District 3 engineer to obtain the licensure needed to run speed cameras on a state highway?
That process can be done by the vendor.
Okay.
Once we get the resolution done, the vendor will go ahead and start the process of getting the permits.
Okay, well then it seems to me the next step is to get a contract reviewed and approved by resolution.
That's correct. And once we get this done, I will send this over to the vendor so they can go ahead and put their contract together.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Mhm.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or discussion for Ms. Barber or the chief? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and read the resolution into the record. This is Town of Cottage City Resolution 2021-05. A resolution of the Cottage City Commission approving the appointment of a speed monitoring system program ombudsman and program administrator, introduced by Commissioner Chair Wheatley. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you,
Commissioner Albrecht.
Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you, Commissioner. Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Hearing none, motion passed, resolution passes. Okay, got that one out the way. What's next on the agenda? Okay, there's the update on 3801 30th Avenue. That's you, Ms. Barber. That's the firehouse, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll let you
So-
take.
Yeah, just real quick, I wanted to report where things stand on that. It is still moving forward with the attorney, Mr. Brian Huffman, to get the conveyance to the town from the volunteer fire department. The issue is that the fire department is defunct and there are not, that we are aware of, any living members that could convey the could convey the property to the town. So there are a couple of different ways that this can be done, and I don't know, Mr. Best can guide me. I don't know how much detail I can get into with this, since it was attorney-client privilege when I was told about it. But there are a couple of different ways that Mr. Huffman is looking to get a title to the property. And it's just taking a little bit longer than we anticipated, but I think the easiest way to do it is going to be a quitclaim deed to the town. And that seemed to be an agreement amongst myself, Mr. Best, and Mr. Huffman. And so I'm just waiting on Mr. Huffman to guide us on doing that process. But it is moving along. It's just moving along a little bit slower than we had hoped because of all the issues regarding the conveyance, because there are no members of the now defunct volunteer fire department there.
Actually, I think Mr. Shrewsbury on 40th Avenue was a member of that department.
Okay.
And also, I had a question. You were going to get there was some question about what property was included in the property, and that it looked like that the house on Parkwood, that property, there was some question there, and so you were going to have a survey done. Did that get done, and did that clarify that the property in question did go with the firehouse?
No, the survey has not been done yet. I have to get some quotes on getting that done.
Yeah, we probably need to get that done, because as I remember the picture that you sent, that was sort of a significant question.
Right.
But I would, you might want to check with Mr. Shrewsbury and see what he knows, because I'm pretty sure that he was a member of that fire department. I could be wrong, but I think he was.
Okay, I think it has to be, and Kevin, you correct me, but I think it has to be one of the officers. Is that correct, Kevin?
Yeah, I think that's right. And the officers turn into trustees after a dissolved corporation occurs. And so there's two options. One option would go through a petitioning process in the circuit court to obtain insurable title, or you could simply do a quitclaim deed from the fire department, and after 20 years, the town would have adverse possession. And it's very unlikely anyone's going to cause a problem with that ripening under adverse possession law. But also, it seems odd to me that you would need to do a survey. Cottage City is a very old, platted area. So, I mean, it seems that you could just look at the plats and discern the boundaries of the property without needing, unless you had some reason, like you were going to build a patio or improvement, and you needed to know exactly if there's an encroachment or where exactly the boundary line falls. I just don't see it's an expense that you need to absorb to do a boundary line survey. Maybe you could do a location survey, which is much cheaper. But anyway, Byron can help with that. I don't know if that's necessary, but the route to obtain title, I think the best way to do it is through quitclaim, which is option number 2 proposed by Byron Huffman. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Are there any more questions or discussion from Ms. Barber or Mr. Best?
Consuela, do you have the diagram you sent us? Because there did seem to be a problem there on the survey.
And I tell you, the issue is when you look up anything on PG Atlas, and if I can pull up the picture that we have from the from the garden, from the earlier discussion, and show you how the problem is with just looking at PG Atlas. If you look
Oh,
at
well.
PG Atlas, you
Well,
see
that's
how there's this line here that goes through this house that obviously is not the property line.
Right. Well, that's,
Unless it's on 2 lots. But
Right.
that's the problem with looking at PG Atlas all the time, is that sometimes those lines, are maybe not exactly where they're supposed to be.
let me explain that a little bit. For property, legal property description purposes, PG Atlas is not a legal document.
Right.
Problem is you got aerial photos overlaid on top of plats. And so that's not a legal document. You rely on the plat. And the plat is recorded in the land records, and the general public doesn't have access to the land records unless you march down to the courthouse or get an account on land records, Maryland Land Records website. So again, I don't think it's necessary to do a survey. You need to get the correct plat to verify boundaries of the property in question.
Just look it up and check it with Byron.
Sure.
And if you want to resend us the thing that you sent before, but let's just make sure that there's no problem.
Sure. That's all I had to report on that.
Thank you.
All right, I guess we can move to the next item, which would be new business, which is the request for the letter of support from the Living Canopies, Cool Green Bus Stops for Prince George.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I had my hand raised about the last topic. It's very quickly, I'm having a hard time accessing any of the agendas and hard copies and presentations, meeting attendees for the last few meetings. I'm hoping that the town can make those materials available, not just for the meeting, but at least a day in advance. And if it's already there, I apologize, I haven't seen it. But we go through a lot of really amazing information, and it's really hard to engage the community unless we're able to see those documents in advance, think about them, and then come to the meeting. That's all I wanted to say. I appreciate these meetings. Thank you.
May I address that, Ms. Commissioner Wheatley, Chair Wheatley?
Sure.
So all of the documents are put on our website the Friday before the meetings, typically right around the close of business on Friday. The agenda is published and all of the documentation are attached to the agenda by hyperlinks. And then the information stays on our website until the meeting. So if you're having problems accessing it, you can always give me or the office manager a call, and we can help you through that.
And so I really appreciate that. I assume that I'm just doing something wrong. I apologize. I am not a computer person.
No problem.
I was gonna stop by the town hall. I would love some help for that. I really
Sure.
appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Denise, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, you have the floor.
Oh, I thought you were going to present me. Okay, so we were presented with a proposal from Professor Dave Tilley of Living Canopies, which is a nonprofit business as part of the University of Maryland. And they would like to include us in a grant proposal to install these cool green bus stops along US Route 1. I explained to him when I talked to him that we are not on US Route 1, we're on Bladensburg Road and 38. So I talked to Wanda and Consuela, and we presented to him 4 potential sites on Route 1 and 38th Street where the bus stops are. And he was going to look at those to include in his, if we should decide to pursue this, he would include those locations after looking at them. I had sent a detailed proposal to all you commissioners about what this entails. They would, if they receive the grant, they would be installing these and doing the maintenance on them for 3 years. The grant does ask for a match by each of the towns that participate, and that would be between $500 and $1,000 per unit per year. And he's not sure. So if we were to do this, we would say that we would commit $500 per bus stop for that 3-year period. And he would work with us on that. I was suggesting that we only do 2 bus stops. But this maintenance fee, which is what we're talking about, the 500 to the 1,000, would cover all maintenance. They would be hiring a team that would come out weekly, bi-weekly, to make sure that these structures were being taken care of, watered, and all the maintenance. And that was for the 3-year period. At the end of the 3-year period, then we would decide as a town whether we're going to keep these structures or we would dismantle, or we'd ask them to dismantle them. He's looking at installing 20 of these as part of the grant proposal. If we decide to do this, he would like a letter of support from the commissioners no later than September 15th, so he can include it with the grant. There is no guarantee that they'll receive this grant application for these Cool Green bus stops. They did just install 2 of these over in Hyattsville. If anyone wants to look at them, they're at Hamilton Street, and I can send that information to people. And you can see here, they're very attractive. And certainly this does meet Cottage City's intent of being, achieving more of a climate neutral position. It meets our Sustainable Maryland Action Plan of addressing the needs of our community and climate change, and certainly is in line with Cottage City's Green Team initiatives that we are in the process of implementing.
Denise, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So do we get to pick out which plant or flower, or do they?
No, these are all plants that this is a patented system, and so the plants are the plants that go with these canopies. So as far as I know, they're the ones that they design that work in this way.
Okay, and it's going to be installed at the bus stop?
Okay, so basically it's called the Cool Green bus stops. So these are to be put at bus stops that do not have shelters. So we presented to him the 2 on 38th Street that are pretty much well used, and they have no shelters there. On 38th at Parkwood and 38th on either side of the street at 38th and Parkwood, there's 2 bus stops.
So
He has talked to Maryland ODOT and SHA, and he has gotten initial favorable response. Once again, we're not responsible for any of that. We just identify the bus stops in this demonstration project. We will assist with letters, but we assist with the matching funds for the installation. They would take care of everything else: installation, maintenance, and getting the final approvals for placement and installation.
Okay, so my question is, it's going to be at the bus stop, and it's going to be at the bus stops that don't currently have shelter.
Right.
So is this supposed?
Right.
Okay, let me ask the question, Denise. Let me ask the question. So these shelters or these canopies, do they provide shelter from harsh weather like rain or sleet or something? Because it looks like it's just a plant. So is there something underneath it if it rains?
It's mostly for shading. It's a dense covering for shading. And yes, and to keep people out of the weather. No, it's not like a bus facility that has a hard cover. These are green, they're cool green bus stops.
So they would really only work
Living
in
umbrella.
the summer.
Have you guys ever seen like these living, it's like, you know, walls that have plants on them? It's kind of that same kind of technology.
Okay, but they're only gonna work in the summer? Or is it year round?
They're year round. In this climate, he says they're year round.
Okay. Are there any questions or discussions in regards to the letter of support? Or in even installing the canopies?
You mentioned that the organization would maintain them for 3 years, and then after that, it would be our responsibility.
Yes, he would say that would be our responsibility, or we could have them removed.
Okay, do you have a kind of maybe ballpark idea of how much it would cost for us to maintain them?
I think that they just have to be watered and maintained. And at that point, I'm sure it could just be part of the regular maintenance that the maintenance team would do.
Okay. Do you know what type of plants?
No, these are all patented and systems that have been designed and patented. And the plants are the ones that are used to, I don't know how else to say it. It's just, it's part of a system that they've patented, and the plants that they plant are ideally suited for this application.
Thank you.
And they're also solar smart watering systems, you can see. So
Is it just the canopy, or is there like a portion where you can actually sit?
no, it's just a canopy. These are not bus stops that have seats and hard covers. These are green. These are more like, think about trees. These are more coverings to help with people who are standing out there in hot weather, who can be cooled by standing under these.
Okay, will it, maybe you mentioned this, but can I just go back? Will it actually replace our current bus stop, or will it go alongside what we have?
Okay, Cottage City has 4 bus stops, 2 on Bladensburg Road and 2 on 38th Street. If we were to do we would not do it at the 38th Street in front of the shopping center, because it already has a solid structure. It would be the one that's further down if we chose that.
Where there's no
right, where there's no, these are only placed where there is not an existing bus shelter.
I see.
Which is why I thought the 38th Street might really lend itself. And we've also, the Green Team has on our 3-year plan to look at, what would it take to turn 38th Street into a green street, similar to Decatur Street or the street that Comer Manor is doing along Newark Avenue. So this could be our first green installation on 38th Street. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Denise?
I have a question. Yeah, I was glad when you told me the other day that they would be making sure that the flowers got watered. But looking at this picture, I have another question. It looks like it comes out of this barrel, which blocks a good part of the sidewalk. And that concerns me a little bit. And also, when you said that there's no place to sit, just thinking for myself, when I'm waiting for a bus, I need to sit often because I can't stand. Now I have a cane that has a little seat on it, so that takes care of me. But with respect to the barrel, I mean, how big is that? And is there room for people to go around it?
Yes, and basically he said to me that these are installed according to MDOT county. So they're only going to install these to the specifications that allow for access. Right. So yes, it would definitely not, it would be located so it would not impede people walking. He understand, I mean, yeah.
They might need to get a new picture for their advertisement then, because this particular barrel looks like it would impede people walking
Right.
on the sidewalk.
Denise, is there one already installed in Hyattsville?
There's two in Hyattsville already
Two.
installed, but they're not on the road. They're in a park. They're on
Right.
the trail. So it doesn't really, it's not the same thing. So, I mean, if you want to do a letter and state in the letter that you want to make sure that it does not impede on the walkway, I mean, I think that would be appropriate. I mean, he made me believe that they would not be doing anything that would not be appropriate to county and state regulations, which would certainly be impeding the walkways.
Commissioner Weedon?
Yes.
For these, I'm not sure if they're aware of it. They probably can get more information from SHA and from the county, but we have a actual right of way going into the private properties that's right there. I don't know if anyone has seen the bus stops on 38th Avenue, where they put the kind of like standing area for the buses so that they won't be in the
Right,
actual walkway.
right,
And the same thing can be done to put those barrels
right.
off of the walkway.
Good point.
But they will have to get those, that information from the county, because it will probably have to be put on like a concrete pad will have to be put there at the proper dimensions or whatever.
Denise, there's a question in the chat. Could you tell us where the Hyattsville installations are located?
The Hyattsville installations are right on Hamilton at the trolley, on the trolley trail, and the address is 4505 Hamilton Street in Hyattsville, and it's called The Spot. And it's on, if you pull up the Consuelo, if you could pull up the first page, it's right there, guys, at that photo at the very bottom of the first page. That's where it is. So it's at 4505 Hamilton Street in Hyattsville, and they just installed those I think 2 weeks ago. It's at the trolley trail. Very attractive, nice little place. And they donated those to that location.
So Denise, do these have barrels? Because
Yes, see there it is right there.
the green, okay, that's the barrel. Okay. And that waters both of those canopies? Or is it one or two?
There's two canopies there. I think there's actually another barrel on the other side, I think.
Okay. Are there any other questions, comments? How do we feel about the letter of support?
This is Commissioner Yuri. I think it's a good idea. I don't think maintaining it would be too costly. I think Cottage City as a whole is working on a way to beautify it and to, make it kind of eco-friendly and green and, become a kind of together community in that sense. So I think it's a step toward that.
Miss
I'm
Barbara,
fine
how
with
would,
it as long, oh, sorry.
go ahead, Ann.
I was just gonna say, I'm fine with it as long as we, you know, make sure that the barrels don't block the sidewalk.
Miss Barbara, how would we fund this project?
So I think that, in talking with Denise, Ms. Hamler, the project is probably far enough out that we don't need to include any budget funds in this fiscal year. But, so you could allocate funds in the next fiscal year, but if it were to come to fruition earlier, then of course you all would have to make an appropriation from the unappropriated fund balance.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Armache, did you have any questions or comments?
Sorry, I was dealing with my dad. No, I don't have a question.
Are you, do you support the letter of support? Are you in favor?
Sure. I think it's a great idea. It looks a little bit small in the artist rendering, but now I see that they did one over picnic table also. Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. Thank you.
All right, Denise, sounds like you have the letter of support.
Great. So do I come and talk to Consuela about making sure that we get it over to Professor Dilly by September 15th?
Yes.
Great. And thank you all so much. And I guess we'll hear from him if he gets the grant.
Thank you.
Thank you
So-
so much. And I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Mhm.
Okay, so next is Hispanic Heritage Month, Miss Barber.
Right, so the Hispanic Heritage Month, the organizers had requested whether the commission would entertain moving, I believe it was $100?
Yes,
Yeah.
100.
$100 from their line item for the Hispanic Heritage Month to cover costs that were associated with the Salsa in the Garden event. So moving that money over to the garden. And since that's a line item transfer, that does need to have approval from the commission. And Kevin, you can tell me whether or not it needs to be in the form of a resolution. Or if it can just be by vote. I know there's a preference for resolution, but it's $100.
You want me to answer that question?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems to me I'd do it by resolution if you can, but you know, there's no law that says you can't do it by motion either. So I don't consider it to be that important of an item that you couldn't do it by simple motion.
Okay,
I
so the
guess-
motion, go ahead, Consuelo.
No, so I would just say, so I guess we would just need a motion to make the line item transfer from the Hispanic Heritage Month line item to the garden line item.
And the $100 is to pay for the salsa event that was in the garden. They were short of $100. So that's why they're requesting the transfer. And it's to reimburse one of the gardeners because they put the money up.
But I want to make sure I understand, Consuela. Are you talking about doing a change to a number in the line item budget, the detailed line item budget?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, then you want to do that on paper. The
Okay.
original document was on paper, so you want to do the change on paper as well. You want to amend that document the same fashion that it was approved. I'm sorry for that. I didn't quite understand.
Okay.
So is there, you just need us to make a motion and then you're gonna do the resolution or something?
You know, this always begs the question about the resolution, the simple form resolution that we have. You know, the only question is putting in the whereases and the wherefores. So, you know, Kevin, can you just give me a little bit of primer on how that form is supposed to be used?
Well, kind of self-explanatory. You tell the story of what the purpose of the resolution by recitals, and you put the substantive item where it says now therefore be it resolved. You put your substantive policy.
But do I have to say all of that during the meeting, or can I just write it up after the meeting?
Well, you're gonna have to write it up after the, you need the document placed before the body to approve.
Okay.
Yeah, you need that to put for the body, unless you decide just to do it by Robert's rules motion, but you know, that kind of goes against what seems to be the best practice. So do you have time? Can you wait for the next meeting for this item?
We would really prefer to do it now because this young lady would like to get reimbursed for the funds that she expended last month.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
you can just
we
have
can-
one.
yeah, I can just have one recital on there.
One recital and give the substantive provision. You can state that or read it into the record, and then you can memorialize it with a very, very simple written resolution later. As long as you either have the document before the body or you read it into the record in its totality. Does that make sense? So
Yep.
if you want to formulate the written resolution by reading it in its totality in the record and then producing it hard copy after the meeting adjourns, you can do that. But you might want to move on to something else as you jot down your notes to state the resolution later on in this meeting.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I'll pull together the resolution real quick and then we can come back to it and read it
Sure.
into the record.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want us to go to Halloween next?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so are you doing that one?
I can't do that and write at the same time.
So who's doing Halloween? You. And because I don't know what the plan is.
So basically, I think the reason why it's on the agenda is to decide whether or not you all wanted to do an event for Halloween like you did last year, or if you wanted to do something more scaled back here at the town hall, like a trunk or treat. And to emphasize that the budget for the event is only $700 and that needs to be adhered to very strictly.
Okay, so well, I don't know if we want to do the same thing we did last year. I know we still have the costumes and everything, so we wouldn't have to spend any money on that.
Right, this is Chief. We are making plans for this year's event. Hopefully, I have it something I can pass out to everybody shortly. We're trying to do something about using open space in the back with probably a trunk or treat, as well as activities for the kids to walk through some some scenarios and stuff like that, but everything is we done, it's in budget. We have a lot of things we bought last year that we can reuse. So it's not gonna be a big spend like it was last year.
And it'll be all outside, Chief?
Yes, outside, and we probably, if we use the town hall, it'd be very limited. But most, we planning on having an outside event due to COVID.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I'm okay with doing that. How do the other commissioners feel? But as long as we stay under budget or within budget, I should say.
Yeah, we'll be way below budget. Like I said, pretty much the money's we paid for candy and stuff like that. All the stuff I've been paid for.
Okay, so
I'm
so
okay.
actually it would be 2 events, or would it be that everything would be done on one day?
Everything be done on one day. We shooting for Saturday.
Okay. You have a date in mind?
Yes, that's the 30th.
The 30th, is that that's a Saturday?
Whatever Saturday, Halloween falls on a Sunday this year, so we're doing it on a Saturday.
Okay,
That's why I have a calendar in front of me.
no, that's fine. So, how do others feel? Are you okay with doing the event for Halloween?
I'm good with it.
Was that Commissioner Young?
Yes, sorry, that's Commissioner Young.
Okay, I couldn't catch your voice. Sounded a little different. Commissioners, Armiche and Yuri?
I'm good with it. And sorry, I was distracted by my family for a second. Chief, did you say the trunk or treat? And I know you had mentioned to me before you were thinking about doing a haunted house for the next Halloween. I don't know if you said that just now.
Yes.
If you're still thinking about that too.
Yes, ma'am. We're using the big tent. We'll use the parking lot.
Cool. I would be more than happy to help you with the decorations and creating of that too. That sounds fun.
Yeah, so that's why it's gonna be outside. We use the big tent to do the haunted house.
I support it.
Chief, we're driving around like we did last year. Is that what this is?
No, we're not driving around this year. Well, we're thinking about doing some kind of drive around probably Halloween night, which is that Sunday, but we won't have our activities that Saturday. Due to the fact that kids gotta go to school on Monday, so we probably have something small geared down, like probably drive around a little bit on that Sunday, but Saturday is when we're gonna have our actual event.
I'm sorry, maybe I missed it. What activities had you planned for Saturday?
Saturday we will have trunk or treat where we have the cruisers with the trunks open up where the kids can actually get candy. We will have a couple sketches where we have a haunted circus, where it's gonna be a circus tent where it's haunted, where people walk through, guided tour, and then we'll have some other activities, fun games and activities out in the parking lot.
I see. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, next is the senior dinner. Ms. Barber, you,
Yes, so the senior dinner, similar situation. Due to COVID, we're not really able to host the senior dinner like we had in the past. And so the idea is whether or not you all want to do an event that would maybe involve delivering meals to the seniors after they sign up for the events. It would be a first come, first served event. We typically do around, I don't know, 30 people at the event, but it would be whatever the budget would be able to handle. The budget for the senior harvest dinner is $500. So you figure maybe around $15 to $20 a plate. $20 is on the high end. I'm thinking more like 15. So you could get a fair amount of dinners out of that. So just wondering if that's something that you all want to do, or if you would prefer just not to have the event at all.
I would like to do something for our seniors. I mean, the dinner sounds nice. And we could also do baskets, like Thanksgiving baskets too. I know normally we get turkeys donated from Delegate Fennell. I think last year, Chief, didn't Senator Augustine donate some turkeys or something to us?
Yes, we got some turkeys from Shabak, and we also got some turkeys from Senator Augustine.
Yeah, usually seniors, they don't do a whole turkey. You know, they usually don't eat a whole lot. I think
Yeah.
the dinner would be better.
Right. So last year, what we did a dinner for them. We had a small dinner. We purchased from Caroline Kitchen, and
Mhm.
we gave turkeys to the families.
Yes. So,
I like that idea.
okay, thanks, Commissioner Young. Amish Day and Yuri, how do you guys feel about doing the dinners? And if we get turkeys donated, we could give those out to the families?
Could I just add one thing?
Sure.
I think that for people who can't come and get them, we ought to be able to deliver them.
That's cool. I think
At least to the
Consuela
towers.
mentioned, I think she mentioned delivery. I think she
Oh, okay,
did
good.
mention that.
Okay.
Actually, we were gonna ask the chief if the Explorers could help out with that, because it'd be nice for the younger people to deliver to the older folks.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Should be no problem.
Okay. Thank you. So, Miss Barbara, are you ready to
You
go
would
back?
think them.
Are you ready to go back to Hispanic Heritage Month?
Yes, I can pull the very quickly drawn together resolution back up. So give me just a minute. There you go. Typo there. I don't know if Mr. Bass wants to look it over and see if it fits all the criteria.
Could I just ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
The event for Hispanic Heritage Month is the Day of the Dead, right, on October 2nd?
Yes, ma'am.
And so taking the $100 out won't affect that, right?
No, she's aware of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Looks good to me, Consuela, and for you to type this out and with all the other things you're handling, kudos to you.
I'm a multitasker.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so Mr. Best, we just need to read this into the record and then we can take the vote. And that should cover everything that we need to cover.
Well, if you want to be technical, this is a resolution, not an ordinance. You don't have to read the title. You can just entertain a motion to approve it. But if you like, as a matter of custom, always read the titles to your legislation, please do so.
Actually, since this one is so short, I don't think it's necessary. I'll just read the number. So Town of Cottage City Resolution 2021-06. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved,
Is there a second?
Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a second?
I second.
Second, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Armitage. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the resolution passes. Okay, what's next? Okay, Ms. Barber, you're up for your report.
Yes, just two things on the report. Wanted to give you all an update on the playground RFP that was issued last month. They had a pre-bid on the 3rd, whereby we had 3 vendors come out, look at the site and ask questions about the RFP. We had 3 more additional vendors that indicated that they were interested in submitting a proposal, but did not come out to the site. The proposals are due on the 17th of this month. They will include 2 renderings of 2 submissions by each vendor that decides to make a proposal. And we will bring those to you after they're submitted. We would like to ask that you give us the authority to open the bids when they come in on the 17th, so we don't have to wait an extra month to be able to give those to you all so that you can look at them before the October meeting, so that we can make a award at the October the 13th meeting. That's all on that one.
Thank you. I think next was what, the Port Towns meeting?
Yeah, but
I'm
Ms. Sawyer
sorry,
has
I've
her
got my
hand up,
hand up.
and I also.
Oh,
just a
I'm
minute.
sorry, I didn't see it.
Yeah, just a minute.
That's okay.
I need to know if you all will give us the authority to open the bids when they come in on the 17th, so that I can send you the, in post, so the public can see the results of the proposals that come in.
Yes, I think that's fine.
Ms. Barber, can you clarify what this bid is for? You
For
said
the
this-
playground at the Cottage City Tot Lot.
And so this is Amy Sawyer. I apologize again. I have not been aware of all of the conversations going on. I am so excited that we got this grant. I've talked to a bunch of neighbors where we're very excited. I don't think neighbors have actually had a chance to understand what the town is already doing as far as planning. I don't think we ever had a serious call where neighbors could come in and communicate what they wanted. I am hoping that when I come in tomorrow, I'm hoping, could I get a copy, kind of a summary of what we've done? And I've got a bunch of neighbors here who have already said they'd like to be involved. I'd just like to share the information around.
Sure.
So, Ms. Sawyer,
Yes.
so far in some of our previous meetings, other than, obtaining the grant, we've just kind of looked at concepts for the actual new equipment. We've looked at.
And I understand all of that. I would just like a hard copy of what was put up, and because I again, I apologize. I'm looking on the site right now and I can't find a lot of this information. So I would love to access the folks who are here in the town hall. I'm just trying to get all of the information about the tot lots so that I can communicate with my neighbors here, just make sure that everybody knows what's going on.
Just letting you know that I'm letting you know and giving you a backdrop of the things that we've made public so far in our previous meetings, so that you and anyone else who's listening in will know that, we have had very, very public discussions about the tot lot, the fence, the turf, and the playground concepts also, and everybody has been free to join in and input their ideas. So we can definitely.
I understand that.
we can
Councilmember
definitely-
Ure, at the same time, I'm literally talking to my neighbors. They don't know what's going on. Respectfully, when I come in tomorrow, I apologize. I don't know how to access this information. I am sure that somebody down at the town hall can help me assemble this information so that I can communicate to my neighbors.
We're not
Here's
opposed to
what's
giving you
happening.
the
Let me
information.
interrupt.
Hold on,
Let me interrupt.
And please, just 1 second. Miss Sawyer, what I'm saying is we're not opposed to giving you the information. I'm just giving you a backdrop of what we've done so far. Please come whenever you have the opportunity and we'll give you whatever you're asking for. But just for the record, we're letting you know that, you know what we've done so far and where we are in the stream of things.
And I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to talking to folks tomorrow.
Let me just explain. What's being proposed right now by our town manager is that when bids come in from people who want to propose specific things for the tot lot, she's proposing that we approve her being able to make those public sooner than the next meeting. So what she's proposing is making this information available to you early. In other words,
And
she's
I
proposing
appreciate that
what you want.
clarification, Commissioner Young. That's exactly what I was hoping. I have no concerns that the town is not more than happy to help communicate. I have not been able to find some information, and I appreciate any guidance that I can get.
Well, that's what she was just proposing, and so I think we should let her finish doing that.
Let me interject. Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Best.
Procurement and contracting is governed by a procurement ordinance the town passed in 2017. The only stipulation as to opening bids is that it be done in public. Doesn't have to be done during a public, a town meeting of the mayor and council of the commissioners. It can be done at an open meeting. I'm sorry, I want to use the right term. In a public meeting where it's presided over by the town manager or some other designee. So you really don't, you have discretion, Ms. Barber, to open the bids up. You don't have to do it during a public meeting of the Cottage City Commission. You can do it where in a public setting other than a town meeting. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Ms. Barber, do you want to finish what you were saying?
No, I'm pretty much finished. As long as I have that discretion, then the dates are enumerated in the RFP, so everyone is aware that we will be opening the bids on September the 17th, and I believe the time, let me see. Let me just pull up the time real quick.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you asked the question, and I said it was fine with me. I didn't hear from the other three commissioners.
Right.
So,
It's fine with me. This is Commissioner Young.
thank you. Armiche and Yuri,
It's fine with me, Commissioner Yuri.
thanks, Danielle.
Same.
Art. Okay, thanks, Artist. Okay, Ms. Barber, you have approval to open it up.
Okay, and it'll be September 17th at 5 p.m. here at the town hall.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And so, Mr. Pinckney, I believe your report is up next, Public Works. Is he still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you have the floor.
I had two things. One is the Brian update. So I was able to speak with the gentleman over Extreme.
Hold on, Mr. Pinckney, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Can you hold on 1 second? Ms. Barber, did you talk to us about the Port Towns meeting?
Oh, no, I surely did not.
Okay,
Okay, So I'm glad you saw that on the agenda. So September 28th at 6 p.m. is the Port Towns quarterly meeting. It will be done virtually. You all will get the link sometime closer to the date. It's already set, but I won't send it out until it's closer to the date. I'll send that out to all of the Port Towns individuals as well. I'm putting together the agenda and just want to know if you have anything that you'd like to have on the agenda, please send that to me no later than the 23rd of September, because I'll probably send out the agenda on the 24th. So it's shaping up nicely. We have a couple of things on there. A couple of the other port towns have added a couple of things on there.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Have we resolved the whole thing about the bus yet, or is that
Ma'am.
still?
No, ma'am, that's still a topic for discussion at the quarterly meeting.
Okay, thanks. And well, have we as a town pulled out of it formally yet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean, we're not participating. We haven't severed all ties, but we are not participating currently.
Okay, so the discussion will just be about the general future but at this point, we're not part of it.
Right. The question would also be at the quarterly meeting, whether or not there would need to be a new agreement drawn up if we were to completely pull out of the entire system, because there is an agreement that Cottage City was a part of with the other port towns that is still standing. So if we were to pull out, there would probably need to be a new agreement that would need to be drawn up.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Barber, would you send us that agenda once it's a little more developed? For the
Oh,
Port
yes.
Towns?
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely. It'll be out by the 24th.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Barber, there's a question in the chat in regards to the top lot. I don't know if you or Commissioner Uri or Commissioner Armache want to answer that one. I wasn't on the top lot committee, so I really don't know the answer to that question. I think I know.
Okay.
That I don't want to give out incorrect information.
What's the question? I don't see it.
It was from Miss Sawyer.
I don't see it.
Perhaps it was sent just to you?
No.
I don't.
Oh
see
yeah.
it.
Oh, it was sent directly to me. Well, I'm sorry. Can I send it to you, Miss Barber?
Sure.
I think I copy it and paste it.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, she wants to get hard copies of all the presentations. Yeah, we could do that. Not a problem. It might take more than just tomorrow though, because I have to go back through and pull them all together.
Ms. Sawyer, can we email you the concept?
I can have hard copies. I can have hard copies for her, but it just won't be tomorrow. If she's gonna come in tomorrow, it just won't be tomorrow.
Do we have any extra of the playground books that we were given by the concept designers?
I don't know. Greg has all the.
Mr. Pickney, do we have any extra books?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Sawyer, I think I have one of mine that I've been looking through. If you'd like, I can drop it by your house. Maybe,
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I appreciate your help. I I also have a booklet of the Imagination Playgrounds. I don't know if that's come up in conversation, but I'd love to swap some information.
Can I just chime in here for a quick second and say, Danielle, I've talked with Amy a bit about some of the ideas that she has regarding the playground. I think she has a couple really cool ideas. I think it might be useful if the three of us could meet. And I was already gonna check in with Amy about the information she's gonna bring over to town hall tomorrow. So I'm happy to bring if I can find it, I think I know where it is. I'm happy to bring my playground book over to her as well. But she had some cool ideas, and I don't want the meeting to drag on. So maybe I can kind of create a summary of those, or come up with a little summary of those, and or the three of us can meet.
Yeah, I'm open to both of those. I think it would be good. I'm open, so just let me know when you are both available and we can kind of set aside a time for that.
And just for me, Ellery is now in preschool Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So during those days, I'm all yours. So please just let me know. I know you guys have tighter timelines than I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Pinckney, are you ready?
Yeah, before I go to the report, I just had a question for Commissioner Armache. The meeting that you're referring to, is that with the young lady from the playground?
Actually, no, and maybe you would want to be there, Greg, too. No, I was just saying like more of an informal meeting with Amy Sawyer. Lives almost across. She's on the call right now. She's one of our town's people, and she lives almost
Greg,
across
you know
from.
me, my yard is covered in kids' toys and lots of plants, and red on the bottom, white on the top. Yeah,
so she lives almost right across from the tot lot, and she has talked with me about a couple of ideas of things that she would like to see incorporated and implemented at the tot lot. So maybe it would be good for you to be there for that conversation as well, Greg, if you feel like it. I'll start a text thread with the four of us, and we can suss out whether what makes sense.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a vendor that was coming to the meeting. That's all.
No.
Okay. So yeah, I got a chance to talk with the gentleman over at Extreme Fabrication, the company that Commissioner Yuri had suggested from the information that she gained at the MML. For the product that he suggests that we get, will cost us about $17,000 to $20,000 for two units, a holding unit, a storage tank, and then also the apparatus that goes on the truck. This company does not sell the brine. I don't know, Commissioner Yuri, if they told you that they do sell the brine, but they do not sell the brine. He has another company that he recommends that you deal with. Far as the brine, he's supposed to be getting me in contact with the municipal or the commercial salesperson that he deals with. He's supposed to be getting me in contact with them so that I can find out pricing on the brine, and they have a couple different types of brine, so I have to find out which brine has what in it, has more of what in it, has more salt in it, has more calcium in it. There's a couple other things that you can get more of, and I have to just find out which one is what and what the price is. Once they give me that call, once they give me the calls, I can be able to present that to the commission. Just for a salt update, for in 2017, we spent $214 in salt. In 2018, we spent $366 in salt. 2019, it was 274. 2020, we have 0, but me and Brittany both know that that can't be right. And then the 2021 was 208. The 2020 fiscal year, I'm sure that has to be a mistake. We haven't seen anything in there, but I'm sure that has to be a mistake, and either they didn't bill us, but I know we got salt every year. So it looks like we roughly spend about, I would say $350. $250 a year in salt, with the winters that we've been having over the last 5 years, which is not bad. We come a long way from spending $1,000 to $250. So that's how much money we spend in salt per year for the last 5 years. We average about $250 a year, and that's getting salt from College Park, Hyattsville, and State Highway.
Do you have an estimate on how much we spend on road repairs related to some of the salt that we put down?
From the salt that we put down, we haven't really spent much money on road repairs. Every once in a while, we get a pothole within the town. Most of our potholes that we have around town is usually on 38th Avenue or Bladesburg Road.
Okay, thank you. And just for the record, I'm not sure which holding tank he talked to you about, but I know that the one, and I have a specific list of pricing for that, the one that he mentioned at MML was far less than 17,000. Maybe when you spoke with him, he was giving you the estimate for a larger tank, but either way, thank you for presenting those statistics.
Notice that I didn't just say the holding tank and the apparatus that goes on the truck.
Yeah, all included.
$17,000 to $20,000. The holding tank that we talked about was either a 5,000 gallon or 3,000 gallon. He actually recommended the 3,000 gallon, and for the tank alone, it was about $4,000 to $6,000.
Okay.
And everything that he gave me was estimate prices, because the prices will go up as the year gets, the closer it gets to the winter.
Could I make a comment?
Mm-hmm.
It strikes me that this sounds like a relatively new product or process. And given the amount of money that you're talking about and the amount of money that we spend now, even including road repairs, it's assuming that there are some that are caused by the salt. We might do better to wait until these are more common and the price comes down over the years. Wait a few years on that to happen. That's my thought.
I agree with Van.
Yeah, that's why I asked, Mr. Pickney to come up with some of those statistics so we could see how cost effective it was for our town and to see if it was reasonable, something that we really needed. Overall, the biggest thing is the cost that we're, putting out for road repairs and, how effective, our salt is going down, if it's getting everything. But if what we're doing is effective now and we're not expending too much on repairs, then, stick with what we have until something else becomes mandatory or more cost effective for us.
I will say that for years we didn't pre-treat. Now we started pre-treating on last year at the request of the commission. For years, we didn't pre-treat, we always treated afterwards. So that any ice that would build up on the streets will melt. And that was kind of our way of reducing the amount of salt, as well as other municipalities who does the same thing. Even in this year, when we pre-treated, we have still been pretty good with our salt, because we, unlike other municipalities that just go out and just dump a whole bunch of salt just all over the place and come around and do it 4 and 5 times because they don't want the, you know, they want it to be visible and stuff like that. We're not we're not them. We're not reckless with our salt. We try to preserve as much salt as we can so that we can have it on hand whenever we need it. So we do, we do look at, our resources and try to really govern them and manage them to the best of our ability to maintain our salt. So we're not really being reckless with it. That may be the reason why we haven't had as many street repairs and had to get whole streets repaved and stuff, because of the salt, because we're not really reckless with our salt. We try to really, preserve our salt, because we know that Hyattsville can cut us off, or, College Park can cut us off, State Highway can cut us off whenever they feel like they don't have enough salt to take care of their own street. So we try to make sure that, we are being conscious about that, and we doing our due diligence with our salt.
Thank you.
And thank you for that too.
The other thing that I had was, well, actually, it's 2 more things. One thing is I noticed that we didn't get a application from Prince George's County going green. So I was able to print the application off. I do have the application on hand right now that we can put in and receive some trees to replace some of these trees that we've taken out. They only have 4 trees. One is a redbud, which is common in the trees that they usually have. It seems like they have that tree every year because they kind of do well in this area. They have southern magnolias, which grows about 15 to 20 feet tall. It's usually planted in like tight spaces. Then they have the river birch and the American elm, which both of them grow about 70 feet tall. So my recommendation to the commission, if we want to go after some of these trees, we have the ability to get 10 trees. We can get the redbuds and any other trees that we may want that's different from this list. I know Commissioner Yuri had mentioned a couple different type of trees that she wanted to see. But if we wanted to get those trees to replace some of the ones that we're taking out, then we would just have to just go and purchase those. I would like to get you guys' thoughts and get your approval to move forward with this application.
What organization is providing those trees?
The county.
And they're what, free?
Yes.
Can you send us pictures or a list of those trees that you mentioned so that we can kind of take a better look at them?
Sure.
Because really with replanting these trees, I'm really kind of focused on the aesthetic of Cottage City, as well as not getting in the way of those power lines, but particularly on the side of the street that, where the power lines aren't connected to the posts. I really want to focus on beautification of that side, just really make our streets look nice.
Sure, I can, we actually have some redbuds in town, some nice healthy redbuds in town that I can take a picture of in town and send it to you. And then the other trees, I can Google them and send them to you as well.
Okay.
Apologies, I have a whole bunch of information about all of those trees. I'm happy to drop that off so you don't have to go ahead with the Google. I know we also just got an offer from DNR for very inexpensive trees of all different sizes. So I'll drop that off tomorrow when I swing by.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
I will ask that the commission, hold up, let me check one thing.
Hey, Greg, is there a deadline for this?
That's what I'm checking right now. Okay, so we do have until next month's meeting to be able to put the application in. The deadline is on the 15th. But if the commission wants to approve for us to move forward and finalize the what trees we're gonna get within the next weeks, I would rather get the application in quicker than later, because if the later you get it in, if they don't have those, they only get a certain amount of trees, certain amount of shrubs and stuff. So if they don't have those available and somebody else put in for them before us, then they'll try to get us to get something else, whatever they have.
So basically you're saying the sooner we get the application in, the better chances we'll get what we want
Right,
versus getting what's left over.
right.
Okay. All righty.
So if you guys want to approve us to go ahead and move forward with the application, and through email, we can send out the different trees and you guys can kind of agree on those, whatever trees you want to get. And we just put those down on the application. I'm fine with that. That means we can get it in within the next couple of weeks.
And it's fine with me.
Mr. Pick, may I have a quick question? I think we talked about this in a personal discussion, but I think we've been taking down trees also by the train tracks across from the town hall. Like a few years back, it was kind of covered by trees, and now it's kind of open there. We can kind of see through Brentwood. But if we just remember that while we're getting our trees, to kind of replant trees in that area, just to close it up some so it's not so exposed. I want to just remember that area to kind of make it look nice over there also.
You talking about on the hill slope going up, or are you talking about on the CSX side?
Just on the Cottage City side, before the train tracks, across from the town hall, that whole area from 38th across from the town hall, that's on the Cottage City side, not sloping down.
Okay. I don't think we taken any trees out over there.
But it was definitely much more covered a few years ago, and
Some of those trees belong to the railroad, and we can't affect them, right, Greg?
Right.
Yeah, but there are trees also on the Cottage City side that we do have some authority over. Not the ones that sit below, but there is a side that also belongs to us, I believe.
Okay.
On the trees for the town, I'll go along with whatever anybody else wants, but I love red bud. For whatever that's worth.
Is that it, Greg?
The other thing is American Landscaping. We're still working out the information for the letter or the proposal to make them our sole source for trees. They had a couple questions, and so we've been going back and forth with that. We should have the letter should be finalized and submitted to me so that I can give it to you at the October meeting. But I wanted to mention that they did do the tree assessment throughout the town, and they have 153 trees that they have found something wrong with, or something preventive that they wanted, preventive measures as far as elevating it up or elevating it away from residents' homes, things of that nature, so there won't no branches and that fall on their property. There were some dead trees. There was some low hanging trees that hang out into the street low enough where the trucks, the buses and stuff like that will hit them and damage the trees. some sidewalk ones. Total cost for all of it was $40,000, $40,710. Of course, I'm going through the list to see what it is that we've already taken care of, and so that I can scratch them off the list and submit it back to them so that they can give me a better number. They did ask that if there is a budget that we wanted to stay within, then they can kind of itemize this more down to what is more of a hazard or emergency that we will have to take care of, kind of like right away, versus some of the just regular maintenance stuff that they want to do to clean the trees out so that they can continue to be healthy. So that's pretty much where we are with that. Again, it was 153 trees throughout the whole town. They walked the whole town, assessed all the trees that they found something needed to be done with them. Again, we've taken out probably about maybe 15, I think it's 15 trees that we've taken out that were small enough for us to take out. And then we've pruned probably another 20 trees. I'm not sure if they are on this list, but I have to go through, because this list is kind of like, it's a lot of different stuff on here. So I kind of got to go through all of these, match it up to what we have, and then resubmit it to them to give me a better price on what it will cost to maintain those trees. And again, they said all of the stuff don't have to necessarily get done right now. But if there is a budget, they want to make sure that they can identify anything that's more of emergency or hazard or potential hazard.
Greg, is the price they're quoting, is that for 1 year?
Say it again.
Is the price that they're quoting you, is that for 1 year?
That's to do the work on 153 trees.
So they're gonna do all 153 trees. They're gonna trim and prune and maintain them? What are they doing to the trees?
This is to do the work, all the work that they identify for each individual tree. Like one of them says, elevate off road and sidewalk. Another one says cut down and remove all down ash tree. Another one says cut down wildberry by telephone pole. Another one says cut down and remove dying red oak. Tree is destroying sidewalk. Each tree they've given me kind of like what they're going to do or what's the infraction of that tree. So they would go in and they would do all of that work.
Okay, can I ask you to do me a favor? Can you share that with the green team, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Before you make any decision, can you go and some of the trees that they're saying take down and cut away some of the major things? Can you kind of look at them before you give the okay and like verify if that actually needs to be done? I mean, not actually needs to be done, like questioning their judgment, but like if it's something that you find to be imperative or you concur with, just to make sure that, because 100 and whatever trees seems to be a lot of detailed kind of critique on every tree in Cottage City. I don't know if every single one needs to be, cut back or taken down or whatever the case is. So if you can kind of just go through and verify for some of the more severe things.
Well, that's what I just said. I'm checking with the trees that we got. I got to verify each one of these trees and send it back, because some of the stuff are trees that we can get to, that we can manage and cut down or elevate because it's low enough that we can get to it. Some of the trees we can't do anything with because it's too high or it's in the power lines. So there is a lot of trees, and we have a lot of trees. This is only 153 trees. This is not including the trees that they didn't find anything wrong with or they didn't see a major threat or harm to. This is just the ones that they see that could use some type of TLC to it. And again, they will adjust this. So like I said, to whatever is hazardous or whatever is is a must do because of an emergency or something like that, they'll break all those down if we are, because we don't have $40,000 and I couldn't approve and move forward for a $40,000 job anyway. The commission would definitely have to approve that and do an amendment in the budget if we wanted all 53 trees to be done. So that's not going to happen. Some of this stuff may have to get done on next year, or either a 2 or 3 year plan, depending on what trees can go that long. But that's something that, like I said, I have to go through all 153 of these trees, and then we'll have to break it down and figure out what's, like I said, what's emergency, what's hazardous, what can hold off, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you.
That's it. That's all I have, Commissioner Withers.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No
There
problem.
are no other questions for Public Works. We can move to the Police Department.
I quickly mention something to Mr. Whitney. I think I sent you a picture of, I don't know if you've been or if the city's been maintaining the planters that Commissioner Givens kind of had put up a couple years back, but I think they need a little TLC. So if we can kind of include that in what we're doing, that would be great. And I think I sent you a picture of, you know, what they were intended to look like. So maybe if we can keep those up, it would be really nice.
That would be amazing. And as I said to a couple of people, I'm the Parks Department, the woman who is a conservation specialist, who's been doing all of the planting at Bladensburg Waterfront Park, is getting ready to hopefully start a program here in Cottage City to do a whole lot of job training. It works well with a lot of the programs that we're already looking at. So I don't know if you sent me something, I apologize, I didn't get it, but I am definitely looking forward to talking to you about all of this. It's exciting. Thank you.
Can I ask Greg a question?
Commissioner Uri, I am looking at these pictures right now. And I'm not sure if we have enough sweet potatoes vines in there or what. I think he put like 4 or 5 in each planter. We get close to this. We don't get as full as this. But all we pretty much do for those planters is just maintain them, the water in them, make sure that they get watered, and try to keep the grass that may grow in it or weeds that may grow in it and trash out of it.
Yeah, ours look a little scraggly. Maybe we can add a few more sweet potato plants or elephant ears or something, just to make it look nice and lush and grassy like the picture I showed you. You know, it shouldn't be much. It shouldn't be, you know, it should be very cost effective, but just, I mean, I guess the whole purpose in us putting them there is to kind of be a nice little lush feature, you know, when you kind of drive by on Bladensburg Road to see welcome to Cottage City. But if they're kind of, you know, barely making it, then there's no point. So just to make them nice and colorful and well kept.
Yeah, I think we need to add some more to get it to look like that.
Hey, I'm for it. I'm all for it.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Bill Kopecki.
Go ahead.
Okay, what's the advantage of having a sole supplier for the trees?
Say it again. What's the advantage?
You said, yes, you said ALS wants to be the sole supplier.
No, we're trying to make them our vendor for cutting our trees, sole source for cutting our trees and maintaining our trees.
Yeah, what's the advantage of giving everything to one company?
Because when we have emergencies, we have anything that trees that's dying, we don't have to wait months to get 3 bids and get it approved. We're able to get an estimate on it, send it to the commission for approval, and we can be able to maintain our trees a lot quicker than waiting and going through a whole procurement process on each individual tree.
But yeah, if they give us a price and the commission approves it, what, we have to go through ALS, or can we ask for estimates from other companies?
That's what we're trying to prevent from happening, having to keep on going from company to company. On top of the fact, you don't want 5 or 6 different companies in your trees, cutting your trees, because everybody does it different. It's like having 5 carpenters building an office for you. Everybody does everything different. So you want a person who's familiar with your trees, who understand each one of the trees that you have, able to maintain them and cut them and keep them up so that we don't have a whole bunch of declining in our trees.
Yeah, I can see the advantages, but I was just wondering about the prices. You know, we'd have to accept whatever price they give us.
Pretty much. That'll be the price of the tree. Just note, I don't know if you was at any of the last meetings, but for the last couple of years, American Landscaping has always been the cheapest tree company that we've had, that has given us prices on trees, of cutting them down. So that's the reason why we want to just go ahead and make them our vendor for our tree service.
Well, that's fine if you want to give them all your business, but when you say sole, I was just wondering if that prevents us from doing anything else.
And then another thing is with cutting down the trees, with our permit for cutting down the trees, we have to have a licensed arborist who is responsible for our trees. And in order for me to use another company, as I'm just learning, for them to come in to use our, to cut down any of the trees in here, we would have to change that. We'll have to put in another application every time for a different vendor. If we change the vendor, is another reason why I had brought this up, because we don't want to have to keep on putting in a different application for a permit when we can get a blanket permit for a whole year.
Okay, and the permit comes from the Department of Natural Resources?
Correct.
Thank you.
Nicola, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Chief, you ready for your report?
Yes, ma'am, I'll be real quick. Right now, we are working with the schools to try to make sure all our bus stops in the town are safe for our children, as well as making sure none of our children were left behind. Today was a very difficult day for our children in our town. They were out there almost 2 hours waiting for their bus. I was on the telephone with transportation majority of the day trying to get things ironed out. But because of the shortage of bus drivers, not just in this region, but across the United States, it's very difficult for them to actually navigate through this process. So we're talking about several weeks before they can get this ironed out. I did work on trying to get one of the students, well, two of the students' bus stops moved because they were crossing 38th Avenue, which was very dangerous. The mother brought it to my attention midday. I was able to meet the child at the bus stop that evening to make sure that both children were made across the street. But we did work with transportation to get those two individuals bus stops changed for them to walk across 38th. And they were elementary school kids as well. So we took care of that today. Also, we are working with the principals in reference to identifying problems within the transportation early by communicating back and forth with the schools this whole week. We are assigning officers to bus stop patrols every day. I did the first day, I did today. Tomorrow will be another officer, and then Friday we'll have another officer. So it's going to rotate among the 5 of us to make sure that we have an officer at each bus stop for the next several weeks to make sure that we have no problems with our children. We did have one incident this afternoon where a 5-year-old kid was missing. It was one of our children in our town. We did locate the child. The child got on the wrong bus. But those are things that we're going through right now because of the shortage of bus drivers and the routes being combined. But right now, I think we are on top of things and we'll keep it moving and be flexible as possible to make sure our children are safe. Secondly, we've been having problems with our bulk trash in the community. People, I guess, don't remember that after a holiday, they don't pick up bulk trash within our community. We'll make sure that we give out more information out when we have a Monday holiday. We make sure that we get the information out to the citizens as soon as possible to let them know that we won't do bulk trash on that Wednesday after a holiday, Monday. And also we having problems doing normal Wednesdays anyway with bulk trash. People putting out paint and other items that are not allowed to be put out, and we have to go around and collect it and try to find out who it belongs to and take it back to them. It's coming time consuming a little bit. So we're trying to see if possible, if we can present something to the commission next work session next month on some of our ideas of how we can streamline this to make it be more productive as well as more safe and don't look as junky in the community. Because right now, today I rode through the town and like a junkyard. I mean, we have stuff all over the place. And we just can't do that. I think we should have a way where people call in to actually tell us what they're gonna put out there so we can approve what they put out there. But we want to come up with some kind of idea that's gonna be user-friendly as well as something that's best practices in the area to actually present to the commission next work session so we can discuss it, because bulk trash is becoming an issue again. In reference to what happened today, we did have an incident that happened at the Compare Foods where individual got into a verbal he started verbal assaulting 2 females inside the Compare Food. It ended up being a stabbing. We're not sure if it happened inside town or not, but the individual did get stabbed and ended up running back to the Compare Food to ask for help. I believe this individual has a mental problem. We are working with county investigators to try to address the individual. He doesn't live in that town. I know I have seen him out there panhandling sometimes before at Peace Crossing, as well as over at Compare Foods parking lot, asking people for money. But the individuals that assaulted him, it was 2 females and a male. I'm not sure by the video. I don't believe they live in our town. I think they just come in to purchase some items and leave out. But other than that, the individual, he is going to survive his injuries. And he did not want to go and move further with the investigation. So he doesn't want to cooperate with the investigation at all. So that's what we're dealing with him. But in reference to anybody going around stabbing people, I don't think it's going to be, I think it's an isolated incident. I don't think nobody should be alarmed at it. We are working with Corps Manager to actually have more visibility on Bladensburg Road. And we have spoken to the management over at Compare Food to actually upgrade their security system to reference their camera system. Right now, the rest of my stuff is in my report. Through the time, I'm going to open up to any questions or anything you want me to address.
Chief, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Under your, I guess, topics, you have Cottage City Code that's in dealing with the grass and the weeds. Are you going to discuss that?
Yes, what we did right now is in reference to, we have a warning hangers we put on people's doors. Due to the fact of grass, we cannot give people that kind of warning hangers. We have to actually start the process of the 5 days. The reason why is because grass grows so fast. So we don't give a hanger warning for that. We give an actual notification that you're in violation, which starts the 5-day process. Where after the 5-day process, if it's not rectified, then you will be issued a citation. So we have been going around there and addressing this the last couple of weeks, looking at homes that have overgrown grass as well as open storage issues, and we're trying to tighten up a little bit with the aesthetics of the town.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for the chief?
I do have a question. Chief Ayers, I really appreciate the dialogue we've been able to have about our grass. I was hoping I could catch you tomorrow when I come by, just to follow up on some of the things that we talked about. The no mow May and looking at our codes, specifically the one section in nuisances about weeds and grass, and then chapter 12. Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
Any questions from the commissioners? Hearing no questions, we'll move on down the line with the agenda. Ward 1 Commissioner Young, do you have anything to report out? I'm sorry, Chief, were you finished? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes, ma'am, I'm finished. Thank you.
Thanks. Ward 1, do you have anything to report out?
No, I guess the only question I would have would be for Greg, and I guess I should have gotten an answer to this, but do you know whether when I look, I can't really tell, the house down where the tree branches had fallen on the car at 37th and Cottage Terrace, has Parks and Planning done anything about that yet?
Hey, Ann, when did that happen?
Oh, that happened probably a couple months ago. And it just seemed like it was taking forever. And like I say, I was looking at it the other day and I couldn't tell, and I didn't see anyone at home. So I just didn't know whether, I was just wondering if Greg knew whether they'd ever come and done anything about that. People who live there have since put up awnings to protect their cars, but they were supposed to come out and cut the branches that hung over the driveway. Greg still on? He may not still be on. Well, Public Works is still on.
Miss Barbara, do
maybe
you know anything about it?
No, ma'am, I can check though.
Okay,
Just
thank you.
wondering.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's all.
Thanks. Ward 2, you have anything to report out?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So for Ward 3, I do want to bring something up with you guys. So I was contacted by Jawan Blocker, and he works with Delegate Ivy, Julian Ivy. And Delegate Ivy wants to do a school event in our town since we are in his district. And it's not teachers. So he wants to do like a drive to for the school teachers. The things that they need
Breaking up,
are like
Commissioner.
sanitizer. I'm sorry.
You're breaking up for me. I don't know what it
Some of
is.
the things they need are
Didn't really hear anything you said.
I'm sorry, I don't. Okay, what I said, can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, so what I
Yes.
said was that not Commissioner, Delegate Ivy wants to do a school teacher drive to collect supplies for the school teachers. And he's asking to use our town facilities, mainly our parking lot at the town hall, to collect supplies for school teachers. And we've proposed a date of September 25th, which is on a Saturday, I believe. And the time right now is from 10 to 11:30 in the morning. And again, some of the supplies that they're looking for are masks, hand sanitizer, pens, composition books, erasers, markers, jugs of glue, glue sticks, highlighters, index cards, Lysol spray, pencils, paper towels, Post-its, Scotch tape, staples, stapler, tissues, clipboards, and other items. That's not everything that they'll need, but he wants to do the drive in our town since we're in his district. He's going to donate a lot of the stuff himself, but he is asking for other donations as well. And he's asking for us to support him. So I told him that I thought it was a great idea. But I wanted to bring it before the commission to just let you guys know about it. And hopefully you'll agree and, support Delegate Ivy. And it's Julian Ivy.
I think it's a great idea. Could you send out a constant contact specifying what they're asking for, and also maybe telling people they could bring things by in advance and leave them at town hall maybe?
Sure, as soon as I get the flyer from Mr. Blocker, I'll send it to Brittany. We've discussed sending it out on Constant Contact. And of course, it's too late to put it in the newsletter, but we'll advertise it for sure.
And Commissioner, the Explorers, we already got them locked in for the 25th to help out.
Great, thank you so much.
No problem, it's on our calendar.
Okay. Commissioners Armache and Yuri, you okay with that plan?
Yes, I think sending it out to Constant Contact would be fine. Is he taking financial donations, or is it just supplies?
That I'm not sure. That information will be on the flyer.
Okay.
So once the flyer comes out, it'll have everything up there. Commissioner Armache?
Sorry, yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay, great. And that's all I have to report. Commissioner Givens isn't with us, so we don't have a report from Ward 4. Commissioner Armache, would you like to report out anything tonight?
No, you already asked me. I have nothing to report tonight.
I'm sorry. I'm
That's-
thinking
oh, that's-
Danielle, and I
It's fine.
said your name, but I meant to say Commissioner at Large.
All good.
I'm sorry. It's getting late. You can tell I'm getting sleepy.
Yes.
Danielle, you have anything to report out?
Just that the English class has just started up. I think we're going into our second week now. So good so far. Just wanted to circle back with Ms. Barber. Was everything with the time and the link resolved?
Yes, as far as I'm aware of.
Okay, I haven't heard any complaints either, so good, thank you.
All right. Are there any
Sorry,
comments
Wanda,
from
you know
our?
what? Sorry, Wanda, I do have one thing I forgot.
Mhm.
I would like to offer, I had talked last year about doing a community meditation and it didn't happen. I would like to set that up for sometime, probably early fall, when it's not too hot but not too chilly yet. So I'll coordinate with the chief and Consuela and check in with you guys, but just to let you know, I'm planning to do that. And I'm thinking, I would like to do potentially maybe in the, rather than down at the park, as I talked about before, since we have the beautiful new gazebo, it's really, it would be conducive to that because people could be on the pavers if they wanted or spread out onto the grass. So I'm thinking about seeing if we can do that there.
Sounds nice. Thank you. Are there any comments from the public at this time? Anyone have anything they want to ask or they have a comment on? I don't see any raised hands. I don't see anything in the chat. So, any comments from the public? Hearing no comments from the public, we are at the end of our agenda.
Commissioner
I will,
Wilson,
yes, sir.
I know Commissioner Givens is not here, but I just wanted to just put out there about the gazebo. He has been here working on the gazebo. He did get the roof up for the kitchen area and did put the seals and stuff on all of the countertops. Be up here working tomorrow to kind of get everything together for Friday's employee appreciation cookout. And we did pick up the benches. We just got to put them together. They didn't have any that was together, so we got to put those together tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thank you for the update. All righty, I think we're at the end. So there's a motion to adjourn. I definitely will entertain it.
I move.
Aren't we having our closed session? Aren't we having our closed session?
I don't believe so, Ann, because Mr. Huffman is not available. Right, Consuela?
Yes,
And we didn't advertise it because he wasn't available. And I thought we wanted him to be at the meeting. So you were looking for another.
I know we were
No,
going to talk to him.
Go ahead.
I know we were going to try to set up a meeting next week for him, but I thought that we were going to get information from Consuela about what he had told her.
He hasn't told me anything because he hasn't gotten back to me yet.
Oh, gosh. Huh. Well, as soon as you hear anything, could you let us know?
Most definitely.
Okay. And then, so we don't know either when we could meet next week, I guess, also.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything back from him, not even what dates he's available next week.
Okay. Well, Tuesday the 14th is not good for me. So hopefully he'll be able to be available someday besides Tuesday. Okay. Thank you.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn? I believe Commissioner Armistead, you were gonna make a motion.
Yes, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Is there a second?
I second. I'll
Thank
second.
you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing no opposed. Any abstentions? None. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Take care, everybody.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night. Bye-bye.